guys, how are you doing? Let's get some music on. I think it's almost Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving if you celebrate it. I am at home and I'm in the mood to research some dinosaurs today. So let's see, what is the date? I never have any concept of time. Oh, it's 2 days before Thanksgiving and it's a Tuesday. Amazing. Also, this is Puppy. She's a cat and we call her Puppy because she's a weird cat. Yeah, I'm talking about you. Also, this is water, not alcohol. I don't drink alcohol. Alcohol's caca. Okay, let's see what's happening today. We might play some games later. If you're watching on YouTube, hi, welcome to Made by Human. I will be heading over to my gaming channel later tonight called Tia Beastie, which is where we play games. Hi, Kitty. Are you doing some ASMR? Are you doing some ASMR? Let's go on to Twitch real quick. I think I might be in the wrong Twitch category. Uh-oh. Hey guys, I am for sure in the wrong category. Yeah, we're in Roblox. Whoopsie daisy. Hey Kian, Yazli, Navs, Encrypted Cat, Artsugard. Hey, how are you guys doing? Okay, hi. Okay, let's get the YouTube up. Alright. How have your days been, guys? How's the week going? Alright, and we are on YouTube chat too. Yay. Okay, we're gonna pop that there. Pop Twitch there. Hey Belka, Bohem the monkey. You have 8 cats. I have 3 right now. We just adopted another one. You're doing good? I started earlier. I did. I'm home alone today, so I have a little bit more time to stream. You had a nice chipotle salad bowl with some chicken. That sounds really healthy, actually. It sounds great. Hey, kitty. So the other day we were researching some de-extinction projects that people have going on, mainly from Colossal, and I'm still looking at that website and I want to go back there. We're doing a deep dive on mammoths. I can show you what we've been up to. Wait. I first need to close some things. I need to close some things because I got my hands on some articles. Let's see. What is the main display gonna show? There. Beautiful. Yes. Okay. So. Am I talking too loud? Am I talking too loud, kitty? I'm sorry. There. Much better. So last time we were talking, we were looking at the woolly mammoth. And we were trying to figure out what that entailed. Also, tell me if the music's too loud. Beware of thieves if you're home alone. Don't worry, I have security. Knowledge should be free to all. I stand and die by this. It's okay. All right. Let me make it a little bit softer anyway. One more. There we go. Much better. Okay, let's go back. So we were looking at Colossal. There we go. Is it better now? My wife loves Dinos. She plays Path of Titans nonstop. It's a bit loud. It's better now, right? You've been sober for years and you're never drinking alcohol again. Yeah, like I said, they make these bottles of water look kind of weird, the fact that it's green. But it's really good water, which is why we keep getting them. Hey, Volcanic. Yeah, so let's take a look further at the Colossal website, because it's interesting, and I like looking at it. Something else I want to do is open my one document I have where I type things. There we go, beautiful. Okay, yeah, I have access to everything now. Hey Emily, how are you doing? Just stopping in to say hello? Why, hello there, I hope you're doing great. Are we going to learn fun facts about dinosaurs today? We are. Or whatever the extinction entails. Hey Toxic Wharf from the UK. Okay, so let's see what this entails. Last time when we left off, we saw that this Colossal lab wants to bring back the woolly mammoth. And we were trying to figure out their reasoning. So bringing the woolly mammoth back means bringing back a better Earth. I wonder if I can turn the music down on my side. Ah, yes, that's much better. Okay. And they were talking about bringing back the steppes. And yeah, here we go. The mammoth steppe. It has been estimated the total mass of plants and animals in Siberia's tundra is now 100-fold less than when it was a steppe. And other key arguments here. And we were like, okay, so what is a steppe? Then we found this academic article. Emily's doing well. Well, I'm very happy to hear that. I'm doing well too, thank you. Finding my stride. Doing research, working, while traveling, figuring it out. Let me make my camera a teeny bit tinier so we can see this article. There we go. Easy. Okay. So they refer to this paper, a mammoth steppe is a high productivity phenomenon. During the last glacial maximum, Mammoth Steppe was Earth's most extensive biome. It spanned from Spain to Canada and from Arctic islands to China. Modern man evolved in this biome. Ooh. During interglacial warming, forests expanded northward, and northern Siberia, Alaska, and the Yukon were a mammoth steppe refugium. Is mammoth steppe the shortened word they're going for? Yeah, here it is. I had to write my own in university. I know how it goes. However, at the beginning of the Holocene, mossy forest and tundra displaced the mammoth steppe. Even there, many lakes and wetlands have appeared. It has been assumed that during the Holocene, in contrast to other previous interglacial cold, dry steppe-like climate switched to a warmer, wetter climate that in turn caused the disappearance of grasslands and their megafauna. Okay, so megafauna means animals. Flora means plants. However, dating has indicated that mammoths persisted on islands until the mid-Holocene. Bison in Alaska and Yukon, and horses and most ox in northern Siberia lived throughout the Holocene. Okay, This can be considered as a proof for overkill hypothesis. In contrast to climatic hypothesis, we propose an ecosystem hypothesis, which assumes that the mammoth ecosystem was relatively insensitive to climate variation, and that she's giving you guys ASMR. She's so happy right now. Okay, so I think they're trying to say that the mammoth were not affected by the climate. And I think they are about to say that humans were responsible for killing the mammoth. So it assumes the mammoth ecosystem was relatively insensitive to climatic variation, and that numerous animals maintained highly productive grasslands over a wide range of climates. Under such a strong disturbance regime, mosses and shrubs were trampled, and highly productive, actively transpiring graminoids and herbs dominated. Okay, the rise in precipitation, an increase in temperature, the climate did not change substantially. Okay, we go down. Okay, so the mammoth steppe climatic envelope we have here. We have a map. Okay, a lot of pictures. The mammoth steppe and humans. That's the good stuff. Okay, so animals in the mammoth steppe were very numerous, and if humans exterminated a substantial portion, then the North should preserve the evidence of that. However, calculating the probability of finding such evidence suggests otherwise, assuming that on average over each square kilometer humans killed 1 or 2 mammoths and 10 bison. However, on the same territory, 1,000 mammoth and 20,000 bison skeletons that died over the course of the late Pleistocene through natural causes are also preserved. In a collection such as presented in Figure 10, finding bones from animals killed by humans is unlikely. Okay. So, it is likely that for hunting, bone tools were mostly used. Assuming that killing and dressing 10 animals required 100 bone tools, they are trying to calculate how many of these were killed by humans, I think. Predators in the mammoth steppe used all of the herbivores, and therefore they could exist in high densities. Okay. We can't provide definitive proof that humans drove the mammoths extinct. However, we can show that humans could do it, both physically and mentally. We showed that the density of artifacts in the north does not contradict that. Initially, Homo sapiens appeared in the southern part of the mammoth steppe, and for many thousands of years were part of that ecosystem. Animals were so abundant on the mammoth steppe that a man would not even need to look for animals. In the range of sight, a 2-kilometer radius, man even on the north could detect hundreds of big herbivores. In the ecosystem, humans could survive even without hunting. There was enough marrow left after another predator. It was difficult to survive in the ecosystem. Okay, this is interesting. So we're saying that we think humans drove mammoths to extinction. And the reason this is important is because the entire argument to bring back mammoths from extinction is because humans are the reason for their death. This is what I'm gathering here. And this is the article that is cited. And if this is the article that is cited, this article doesn't say humans drove them to extinction. It says we could have. We are capable. We don't know though. I'm gonna write this down in my little researchy notes. Oh, wait, let's go back one. Paste without formatting. No. Let's see. Okay, gonna cite this real quick. We're doing it the boring way, chat. We cite our articles. I'm writing this up. Yes, I am. Are you able to have business brain pragmatic and practical with cold thinking exactly like men, or are you just emotional as women? What an odd thing to say. Cool hairstyle. Thank you. I'm playing around. New episode of Survivor is coming soon. I'm not playing Gwent. No, Gwent has gone into sundown mode. Could you control ++ few times for us for easier reading? What do you mean? Make it bigger, or what? Okay, so I cited the article. I'm gonna pop back into it. Large herbivores were the PDF. Oh, you mean back into the PDF? Yeah, here we are. You want me to make it bigger? I can do that. Large herbivores were dangerous. In the ecosystem, predators saw humans all the time. I think there's a lot of spelling errors in this article. No shade on the people who wrote the article. I know how stressful it can be, but I'm struggling to read it. Large herbivores were dangerous. In the ecosystem, predators saw humans all the time. Yeah, it feels like I'm having a little stroke, and I'm like, am I dehydrated or spelling error? Was this not published in Nature or something? No. So Nature is one of the hardest journals to get into. No, I don't know if it was published in Nature. It doesn't appear to be there. Large herbivores were dangerous. Humans were the slowest species with the most defenseless young. Biologically, humans are least adapted to cold and long winters. Therefore, the survival of humans and possibilities for expansion into the vast woodless plains of the north were not limited by animal density, but by severe climate conditions, the absence of natural shelters, and their level of technology. Every new dwelling type, weapons, clothes, and fire-making techniques all contributed to increased human efficiency and survival, and therefore the expansion of the human climatic envelope. Plot twist, the authors of the article are hydrating people by using bad grammar, which makes people question their hydration. That could be true. It's working really well. So humans learned how to build shelters where they could retreat, store food, blah, 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 blah. At the end of that period, humans had already learned how to hunt all species, go humans, and how to survive in any environment. Go humans. We're pretty cool. We're like very much alpha here. The most striking example of this is an early Holocene archaeological site on the small island of Jehovo. Armed with bone tools, these people lived in those extreme conditions, mostly hunting polar bears. Jeez. Which are 3 times larger than the cave lion and 10 times larger than the hunters themselves. If humans could regularly hunt the biggest and most dangerous predators in the most severe environments, it means they could hunt mammoths everywhere. That is true. That still doesn't mean humans created the mammoth's extinction. Because what they're saying here is we could take on literal polar bears. And if we're making that argument, why are polar bears not extinct and only mammoths? You know what I'm saying, chat? It's like we could totally have killed off the mammoths. This is not a good argument in a research paper that goes out to prove it. Like a correlation doesn't mean causation. That one thing in the beginning of November. Oh, thank you, D-Dog. And I am sorry. Man, humans were so scary back in the day. They could hunt you for weeks. Yeah, but you can't outrun humans because of their stamina. Scary stuff. So, human expansion north in geographical space reflected climatic changes. People were likely absent or rare in the homogeneous northern Siberia plains in the cold epochs before this period. During this period, the climate in northern Siberia and Alaska became similar to the glacial climate of Eastern Europe, and these territories became more suitable for human occupation. Okay, so we merely scanned through the article, and I could be wrong insinuating it, but the original argument that the authors of this paper made, as is my understanding, is they are trying to have a climatic hypothesis versus a different hypothesis. What did they call it? Let's see. Where's the other hypothesis at? We still see the climatic hypothesis. I want to get that keyword again. There should be a little summary here at the very top. We're getting there. I have a big moment here where I have a summary and I have a rebuttal. Okay, yada yada, disappearance of things, mammoths. We go into pollen records, we go into the wetlands, the disappearance of things. Okay, so we've got the overkill hypothesis versus the climate hypothesis. There we go. So I think the authors of this paper are saying that mammoths did not go extinct because of the climate changing. But mammoths went extinct because they were killed by humans, and because they went extinct, nature literally changed because of their absence, causing climate change in that area, which then led to it becoming warmer, which is a very interesting argument to make. Because there is a good chance climate change happened and the mammoth went extinct. And humans went into that area and lived there afterwards. But they are making the argument that we killed so many mammoths that we completely obliterated the ecosystem and that it caused it to become much warmer, which is an interesting theory. And this all makes sense, chat, because when we go back to Colossal, who is attempting to bring back the woolly mammoth from extinction, we have to ask ourselves why they would want to do such a thing. Because they're not planning on putting it in Jurassic Park, which is like a zoo. They're planning on putting it back into those regions and trying to get it to repopulate and affect the environment. So the question is why? Why do we want to affect the environment? Well, they reference this paper as the reason for why we need to bring them back. Now, this is incredibly important, guys, because the big reasoning is that if humans create a creature's extinction, it means that we messed up and we got to bring them back. But my argument is, if nature caused their extinction before humans and we then bring them back, what if we mess up and we change the environment in such a way that it does not benefit humans anymore? You know? Because I know we're not great as a species. You know, we cause a lot of death and extinction, but we did change the earth to benefit us. If we end up bringing things back that change the ecosystem, we have to be really sure that that's going to benefit us and not cause mass extinction for us, you know? Because that's my only fear here. We have to be like super duper sure that we are doing the right thing here for humans. Because it can cause a massive chain of events. My mom looks like a mammoth. Dear gosh, I'm so sorry for your mother. And you, because I assume genetically that's going to be passed down. Tons of tribes grew veggies. The nutrient density was needed for energy. Tia, are you introverted at times? That's a myth. People are either introverts or extroverts. And you're that all the time. And I'm a big old introvert. And an introvert just means that I get energy when I'm alone and I deplete when I'm around people. So I can talk with you with confidence and I can socialize and I can do that and I don't have to be shy. But at the end of the night, I'm going to be very tired and I'm going to want to be alone for a few days so I can recharge my battery. For streaming, I kind of fooled myself to the point where it doesn't really feel like I am socializing. So I'm actually alone right now in my room and my brain is aware of that. And I am at ease and that's why I look stress-free and I'm happy. It doesn't drain me of my energy because it's not as hardcore as real life social interactions. Hey Rashid, what we need a species to bring back is the McRib. I agree. Woolly mammoths versus polar bears. Top 10 anime battles. Yeah, I'm sorry, D-Dog. Feel free to hang around if you want to vibe. It's not easy. Been there, done that. If you know what I'm saying. Hello from the Netherlands. Hello. I feel like people in general take their lives for granted. Yeah. Tia, what do you think about scientists who want to revive extinct animals? I am very intrigued. I don't think we can stop science escalating. I think understanding how to do these things will have a good effect on us too one day. We just have to make sure we are careful. So it is important to understand what's being done. So I think Colossal also clones dogs for people. I think. I could be wrong. So it's like, to me, that's just like, whoa, what? So I want to look into it and make sure I actually understand exactly what it is that's happening and not just read headlines, you know? I like science a lot. I like when humans are doing really cool things for the first time. To me, that's like the coolest thing you could possibly do. Crazy how much we've altered environments with animals. Yeah, I know. That's what scares me. Like, introducing animals into the wild can affect it drastically. For good or worse. So you have to be super duper careful. I heard that Pokemon is coming out with a burger that's exactly the same as the McRib. Except it has 1 microgram of vitamin D. Starting at $400 a burger. I mean, good for her, I guess. I don't think anybody can really afford a $400 burger. It's probably more just like a publicity stunt. 1 gram of vitamin D. I take vitamin D pills in my house. I'm always vitamin D deficient because I'm never in the sun, so. Okay, so we have a whole hypothesis in our head. Let's quickly go back to the article and see how they ended off with. So it's the overkill hypothesis versus the climate hypothesis. So again, this is going deeper into academia. For those of you who haven't gone into further education, the way we look at these things is we always try to go back to the very first source, the primary source. That's where we get our information from, right? If you let me show you. If you were to stumble across this bone in the wild, okay? If you were to stumble on these bones, that's a primary source. That is the purest form of source there is. So you always want to go to the most pure source. Then a secondary source would be, I saw bone. I write article about bone. Tia reads article. Tia reads the secondary source of the thing. Now, if somebody's like, okay, Tia wrote article about the article and they reference my article, you're going so far into sources that it's becoming almost like, you want to go back to the very first source. So we've got colossal referencing an article, and the article is referencing a hypothesis. And this hypothesis that they're going for was published in 1967. Which is like really old science. No, it took me to the site. Wait, let me go back. No, my article. Now I have to do it again. It's where I found my article. Okay, I'm back. There we go. We back, chat. So this article, I believe, is going for the overkill hypothesis, which was written by Martin, published by Martin in 1967. The climate hypothesis is what we currently normally use in science, and the reason for that would be that it is more recent, right? You can see some of these references are from 2005. So you would assume that the climate hypothesis is better because it's based on our better understanding of how things work. So the overkill hypothesis goes back to Martin in 1967. So I'm going to click on Martin from 1967, and I'm going to find that source. Okay, I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to find the original paper. We're going to quickly type that in online, and we're going to decide for ourselves if it is a valid paper. We're going to go onto Google Scholar. All of this just to make sure that we don't release something into the wild by accident. Okay, I found Martin, Overkill, December of 1967. None of this is available online. Interesting. It might be a physical book. Okay, let me get rid of this. Try again. Oh, there we go. There we go. We found it. 1967. Overkill. Yeah, this is it. Okay, wow, this is far back. Abstract. Dr. Leakey has replied to my proposal that the pattern of extinction of large mammals at the end of the Middle Pleistocene in Africa represents overkill by prehistoric man. If one adopts all Dr. Leakey's suggestions for updating or factually improving the African list of extinct mammals, the net effect is trivial. An increase in the number of living large genera from 40 to 41, an increase in later extinction from more than 26 to more than 29, an overall change in the amount of later megafauna extinction in Africa. I do not see how the omission of the genera adds to the early group. Okay, where can I get this article? We're doing some deep diving. Let's see if I can find it. I am an academic student grad. I can find any article. Huzzah! Okay. We're going back in time to 1967. Before I was born. Martin went out to say that humans are responsible for killing the animals. It is possible to distinguish between the biologically active compound and decomposition products. Okay, when do we get to the good stuff? Okay, so in their reference, they were showing pages 32 to 38. 32 to 38. 1967, July 8th. 1967. This is December, though. 32 to 38 is what I want. No, it's not the right one. It's kind of correct. It's the correct paper. Dr. Leakey regards drought as a cause of... Yeah, here we go. Okay, so there's some good stuff here anyway. We found some good stuff. Overkill. Okay, we found something. Dr. Leakey has replied to my proposal. It is what we were looking for. That the pattern of extinction of large mammals... as the richest single stratified fossil deposit representing the time interval in question, the Olduvai record deserves special consideration. Clearly, generic extinction during the time of the hand axe hunters far outstrips extinction during any earlier interval yet known in the African Pleistocene. How is this to be interpreted? Dr. Leakey regards drought as the cause of African extinction. If so, it was the first catastrophic drought to strike the African fauna, and while one must believe it affected the entire continent, it was unique to Africa, an event that left no obvious mark on the megafauna of the time in other areas, including Madagascar. In his book, Leakey takes a restrained position, meaning of extinct mammals. It is not generally recognized that many of the larger mammals are remarkably adaptable, while zebra and giraffe are most commonly found in savanna and open plains with scattered thorn bush. They can also be found well within tropical forest zones, such as those bordering Manyara. These serve to show how unwise it is to regard the usual habitat of large mammals as necessarily constant. If the habitat of large living mammals belonging to a single species varies so widely, it is clear that the presence of extinct fossil species, even if related to the living forms, cannot be used as a basis for deducing ecological or climatic conditions. Thus, in attributing the extinction of large mammals to drought, Leakey ignores both his own advice and... Okay, so this guy is going at Leakey. He's saying, yo, Dr. Leakey, even though you're so ahead of your time, because recent scientists blame climate change, this man is saying, Leakey, you are full of it. You have no proof that drought's the reason anything went extinct. Leakey ignores both his own advice, and I need you guys to know who, if you're not in academia, how serious this is. Like, this is beef. Okay, these two guys lived in the same era, and they are beefing. respectfully, but beefing. Leakey ignores both his own advice and also the present distribution of East African mammals. 5 of the largest species, elephant, hippopotamus, black rhino, giraffe, and buffalo, all occupy, or did in historic time, the desertic shores of Lake Rudolph, a region of under 250 millimeters rainfall, one of the driest parts of equatorial Africa. I do not wish to deny the likelihood of droughts at any time during or after the deposition at Alduvai. The point is that at Alduvai, as elsewhere in the world, a major episode of late Pleistocene megafaunal extinction coincides with the prehistoric development of big game hunters. Unless a continent or island can be found in which a major wave of megafaunal extinction occurs, other than soon after the arrival of man or his cultural development as a Stone Age hunter, the possibility of overkill will persist as a challenging, least improbable hypothesis. What do we think, chat? What do we think? We narrowed it down. We narrowed it down to the primary source. Since this article has only one single reference for this entire argument, okay, they have backup data, but the overkill hypothesis was created by Martin in 1967. And Martin in 1967, his entire argument is that we should use this as the least improbable hypothesis. But it is a hypothesis and we don't know it. Did we know this, chat? Now you know. We do not have proof that humans caused mammoths' extinction. This is what we have. We have a theory. And that's something we should take very seriously. We should take it very seriously if we plan to bring back the woolly mammoth merely because we think humans killed it. Because if we're not sure that humans killed it, we need to be really careful about bringing something back if it went extinct on its own. How come I am a deficient of sun? Because I avoid it like the plague. I only really go outside when it's like early in the morning or in the afternoon. Or when I'm on an adventure, because the sun shouldn't keep you back from experiencing life. But sun is like the biggest accelerator to aging in terms of your skin. So if you're trying to like preserve your skin's elasticity and not get skin cancer and such, then you should try and get only a little bit of sunlight each day, or you should wear a lot of sunscreen. It's just one of those things. I have a theory about introversion and extroversion. I think people evolve to be constantly communicating. That's true. With introverts doing much more internal communication and extroverts doing a lot more external communication. Could be true. I think we need both in a society. That's why we have both. Only 10 citations, damn. Almost White Raven nowadays. Yeah, that's so interesting. Nice researching. It's a shame we can't use evidence-based practice for this topic. Yeah. I must say, the one thing I do like from university is the fact that they actually taught me to research. like you start off with a bachelor's degree, and when you do your bachelor's degree, you are not allowed to have an opinion. Like, it's incredibly, you are not allowed to have an opinion. You can only use other people's opinions who have already published. And that's what you have to use to create an argument. When you get your honors degree in South Africa, which is your second degree, you are now allowed to have an opinion. You have proven yourself, and you're now allowed to have an opinion, but you still need to source your references, which is how you get really good at going through the list to find the original references. Now, when you do your master's degree, this was weird for me. You are not only entitled to have an opinion, you're entitled to read research papers and criticize the actual research paper, as well as the study, the methods, the arguments. Because when you reach master's level and you publish papers, you're seen as equal. And in my mind, I was like, whoa, I was told I'm not allowed to have an opinion. Now I'm allowed to trash talk my colleagues. That's cray cray. But that's like exactly what you're seeing here in the old research literature. This is what he's doing, right? He's criticizing his colleague. And this is where we go deep into it. And we're like, okay, now we don't take anything at face value. We look at the evidence and we see what type of study was done. Now, this is not my field of expertise, so there's really jack I can do regarding these. All I can do is I can look at the arguments that are being made. And right now, it's very interesting just to see that the argument really is just that, well, we don't know. It could be this. It's probably this. But they actually don't know, which is really interesting. I didn't know that. Hey, Kern. Akiri, yeah, she's just chilling today. I think she's trying to get a little bit of attention because we adopted a new cat, and I kind of gave the cat a lot of attention, so now she's just getting a little bit back. The environment changing and woolies going extinct from that sounds way more likely than humans making them extinct. And their extinction having a big yeah, because you're right, because the thing is, the inference here is, because the actual argument being made in the modern publication, so the modern publication means this has been published in 2012. So 2012 is when this was created, which it's not very recent, actually. If you look at articles, we're in 2025 now, time has flied. Some might say that 2012 is actually too long ago, and there might be more recent papers on this topic that we should look at with new evidence. But if we do look at this one, they are making an argument for the fact that the overkill hypothesis is correct, that the mammoth went extinct because humans killed them. And the climate hypothesis, we should actually read some of the climate hypothesis papers written by these authors, says that climate change killed the mammoths. It's a pretty big difference. And then when you go all the way down to the ending, which is where we were heading off to, the very ending where they're supposed to give the big conclusion, we go over here to mammoth and humans. And this is the most important part for me out of this entire article. We can't provide definitive proof that humans drove the mammoths extinct. However, we can show that humans could have done it, both physically and mentally, and we showed that the density of the artifacts they had to their disposal doesn't contradict it. So that's really wishy-washy. I mean, it's good to say that it's a possibility, but that is definitely not proof, which is very interesting. Let's see the rest of this. Hey, RMB, how are you doing? Rashid, don't ban Kern. We like Kern. Initially, Homo sapiens, that's us, appeared in the southern part of the Mammoth Steppe, and for many thousands of years was part of that ecosystem. Animals were so abundant on the Mammoth Steppe that a man would not need to look for animals. In the range of sight of a 2-kilometer radius, man, even on the north, could detect hundreds of big herbivores. In the ecosystem, humans could survive even without hunting. There was enough marrow left after another predators, but it was difficult to survive in the ecosystem. Large herbivores were dangerous. In the ecosystem, predators saw humans all the time. Humans were the slowest species with the most defenseless young. Biologically, humans are least adapted to the cold and long winters. Therefore, the survival of humans and possibilities for expansion into the vast woodless plains of the north were not limited by animal density, but by severe climate conditions. Every new dwelling type, weapon, clove, fire-making technique contributed to increase human efficiency and survival, and therefore the expansion of the human climatic envelope. Humans learned how to build shelters where they could retreat and store food and animal grease for fire, and thus they became the main predator in all ecosystems. Isn't that scary? Or scary? We became the main predator in all ecosystems. Where were we? At the end of that, humans had already learned how to hunt all species and how to survive in any environment. Okay, again, they hunted polar bears, which are 3 times larger than a cave lion, 10 times larger than the hunters themselves. If humans could regularly, with little risk, hunt the biggest and most dangerous predators, in the most... I don't know about little risk. I don't know about hunting a polar bear with little risk. I don't know about that. I don't know about that, guys. We should cite Ice Age 3 as a source. That's cool. Oh, with a trap? So if they could hunt them with little risk in the most severe environments, it means they could hunt mammoths everywhere. Human expansion north in geographical space reflected climatic changes. People were likely absent or rare in the homogeneous northern Siberian plains in the cold epochs before this period. During this period, the climates in northern Siberia and Alaska became similar to the glacial climates of Eastern Europe, and these territories became more suitable for human occupation. This period also sharply changed the landscape. Ice wedges degradation led to numerous badlands. Tens, thousands of thermokarst lakes with steep cliffs and canyons appeared. These changes would not have affected animals. However, they provide huge advantages for hunters. How do we know they would not have affected animals? Heterogeneous landscapes provide better opportunities for hunters to closely stalk their prey. The landscape also became better for cliff hunting. Permafrost degradation would have created such cliffs every kilometer, such that chances for successful and safe hunting were substantially increased. In the south, for a long time, humans were in equilibrium with other animals. But during extensive migration to the north and to America, experienced hunters met numerous animals that were likely unafraid of people and were therefore easier to kill. Likely. There's a lot of ifs. Like, there is a lot of ifs to make statements. Human expansion to the northern Mammoth Steppe occurred under conditions of unlimited resources. In such cases, prey are consumed irrationally. Many of killed animals were either not used or consumed only their little part. Dude, I swear I'm having a stroke. These spelling errors. Many of killed animals were either not used or consumed only their little part? Or consumed only their little part. I don't know what this means. I assume they meant to say or consumed. Many of killed animals were either not used or only a little part was consumed of them. The highest density of mammoths dates in the Siberian North is recorded for the BWE period. But it is interesting to note that all of the dates that were found to the south are found either in mammoth cemeteries or in archaeological sites. This data indicates that to the south, mammoths died because of humans and became extinct during the period, while to the north of Western Siberia, Timir, and Northern Islands, mammoths persisted. Humans have not reached these extremely severe territories. I assume this is meant to say severe. I don't know what this is like a lot of spelling errors, dude. Humans arrived there only after the next sharp climate warming subsequent to the end of the Younger Dryas cold period. After that, mammoths on the continent have disappeared. So humans arrived to the north after the climate change, and after that, mammoths disappeared. But the climate didn't kill them, it was the humans. Yes, there was a massive climate change, and then they all died, but because of the humans. I disagree with the idea that humans making mammoths extinct means we should have also made stuff like polar bears extinct. But the climate theory is still better than the idea that mammoths dying caused climate change and not the other way around. Climate theory is better than the idea that mammoths dying caused climate change and not the other way around. I mean, we assume so, because we're also just using science, right? We only know about climate change because the science points towards it. So, based off what we know, one would think that climate change precedes extinction and not the other way around. I am of the opinion that if we eradicated an entire species, a good argument would be, well, why didn't we eradicate all the other species as well? Personally, I am of the opinion that there is a good chance that humans wouldn't have killed every single mammoth, but we could potentially have bred them and domesticated them. Saying we killed every single one of them because we are barbarians, but we didn't kill all the other animals to extinction. I would have liked to see more proof of animals that coincided with mammoths that were also killed to their extinction. Because it's much easier for me to think that climate change wiped them out. But these are all hypotheses. We don't do ifs, buts, or maybes. We only do absolutes, exactly. -1 mark for spelling errors. Yeah, it triggers a visceral response for me because I would have lost so much marks in my papers if I had submitted anything with a spelling error. They were brutal. They would chop off 15% of your marks if you had spelling errors in it. The climate essay feels like it's making assumptions that it doesn't need to. It's making an argument. I respect it. It is allowed to do that. People are allowed to make scientific arguments. I'm concerned when people reference these articles as proof without reading them and seeing that it is merely an argument. Because this is what people online do all the time. They will just like reference an article and they say, humans drove mammoths extinct? Like, new article proves you go blind when you take Ozempic. And then if you actually read the article, it doesn't at all say that. That's the problem. So I learned something new today. It's really cool. I learned that we actually don't know what created the extinction of mammoths. It's pretty interesting. I had no idea. I also now know humans lived alongside mammoths. That's pretty dope. We would have killed all the big ones without protection by now, like rhinos and normal elephants. Exactly what I'm saying. Like, if we really killed every single mammoth on Earth as humans and there was no environmental impact at all, there's a very good argument that we would have killed a lot of other animals alongside them. Why does extincting mammoths mean we should have made everything extinct? There's so many factors here. Versus millions of bears. No, but there are other animals that could have been killed for food. Why would we simply have killed the mammoths and not the other herbivores? Like, it's weird. Like, why would we only... Because this is the overkill hypothesis. It is saying that humans overkilled species to the point of extinction. So you're saying that we killed the mammoths to extinction and we were totally capable of killing a lot of other animals too, but we didn't. And also the climate changed. Also, that's when mammoths went extinct. You have to take... So if they're using ifs and buts for an argument, then we are allowed to use the same correlation arguments as well. Ozempic is that one that makes people Magic the Gathering players? I didn't need it for the record. Wait, what? I have to write a research paper by 11:59 and this stream is giving me motivation. Let's go. Yeah, use it in the background for motivation. Let me just quickly see something. Okay, cool. Okay, conclusion. The modern climate of northeastern Siberia, central Alaska, and Yukon Territory are inside the mammoth steppe climatic envelope. And climate change could not cause extinction of this rich and self-organized ecosystem there. This is a very broad statement to make. So this isn't a maybe, this is like a definitive statement. Holocene climate warming became fatal for the mammoth ecosystem. Because with warming, humans penetrated the north. Our estimates are rough, but they indicate that in northern Siberia, there were enough people to cause a decline in the herbivore population, thereby decreasing pastures and ecosystem productivity, with the eventual extinction of megafauna. I don't know, guys. It's not very convincing for me. I know I'm a Debbie Downer. If you start your conclusion by saying our estimates are rough, that's not gonna convince me of much. That's really not a good ending for me. Like, it's supposed to be... sorry, I can't feel my legs, kitty, I'm sorry. That's like a really, really bad conclusion. I give it a not published in the Nature journal. Nature would never publish this. Nature is the most hardcore journal, and it's really hard. Like, if you get published in Nature, you make it. Oh, this is a Russian article. Russia and USA collaborated to do this. Owie, I can't feel my legs. Okay. That has been very interesting. Now I have more questions. Our estimates are rough, but they indicate that in northern Siberia there were enough people. I don't like that. It's literally saying our data isn't great, but it could be true that there was enough people. And there was enough people, but we don't know if the people did it. But there's enough people that if they potentially wanted to, they could have done it. But we don't know whether they did do it, though. I don't know. There's too many ifs. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. It's a theory at best. One could treat it as a theory, but it doesn't prove a single thing. It's just a theory. And the theory is that A, the climate changed, therefore, B, humans migrated into mammoth territory. Then C, because of the humans migrating into the mammoth territory, they could have affected the ecosystem itself into 4, which eventually killed the mammoth. Like we could have just started with the easiest one, which is climate changed and then mammoth died. But they're like, no, actually A led to B, led to C, led to D. But the thing is, they also don't have proof that this happened. They're merely theorizing it could have happened, which is troublesome. I'm now very intrigued. I want to find more, actually. What do you guys think? Come on. Tell me what you think. I'ma just say they did it. We just did it. We killed them all. Okay, and now the 5th factor comes into play, alright? Oh, my dog is dead. Phew! Okay, she's fine. I killed her. I bored her. Okay, the 5th one is, and therefore we should bring back the mammoth. Because this will cause the ecosystem to become better. That's like hardcore. And for whom is the ecosystem going to become better? For us as humans? We don't know that. For all we know, the climate and the environment that caused the extinction of the mammoths is what caused the fruition of humanity. Alexander coming in with 5 subs. Why, thank you. That's very kind of you. I'll be sure to spend it on Robux in my stream later tonight. I appreciate it. Thank you. That's very kind of you. I hope you're doing well. Yeah, so the mammoths will defreeze the environment. Lax, that's a huge leap, is all I am saying. That's a huge leap. Because now we're saying, because we know our current environment is okay for humans. Because we're here, right? And we're doing really good. We're doing so good. We are killing everything, which is not good because bad, but also we are frolicking. We are thriving. Humanity's doing great. And we are now going to try and change the environment. And we theorize this is somehow going to be better than the status quo of where we are now. And we got a raid from Popey. Thank you very much for the raid. Appreciate it. Welcome to the stream. Welcome, welcome. Welcome, guys. We are talking about dinosaurs and bringing back the woolly mammoth. So that's the theory. We don't know for a fact that humans caused the extinction of mammoths. If humans did cause the extinction of mammoths, we don't know whether the extinction of mammoths is what caused the change in the environment. And then third, we don't know if we bring mammoths back, whether that's going to change the environment for the better for humans. Because at the end of the day, the world will change, but that doesn't necessarily mean we end up benefiting. You know how the chain of events work in nature. It's crazy. Like if bees were to go extinct, we're screwed, because if bees go extinct, flowers don't get pollinated, which leads to insects dying, which leads to birds dying, which leads to blah 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 blah, until we have no food, no oxygen. We're screwed. So that's why I'm so anal about, and anal is a Freudian term, I don't mean it in any other term. That is why it's really important for us to not accidentally fuck something up. Because it's like, what if you put mammoths in the middle of nowhere and they stomp all the bees? They kill the bees and they kill the flowers that the bees like. I know it doesn't work that way, but you know what I'm saying? I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like we don't know how this will actually affect our current environment, and we need to be so freaking careful. I'm so scared of accidentally releasing things into the wild that we don't know much about. Hey, new chatters, how are you doing? Yeah, again, we're looking at dinosaurs today. Hope you're doing well. We're talking about prehistoric times. Yeah, we are. Okay, so that was extremely interesting. Again, no hate. This is just being very straightforward about the paper we just read and criticizing it, just like they criticize other papers and the guy before them criticized more people. Okay. So now we go back to Colossal, who wants to bring back the woolly mammoth, and we look at their arguments. Okay, we've got the size of the Arctic. The mammoth's massive size, thunderous gait, and vast migration patterns were active benefactors in preserving the health of the Arctic region. The mammoth steppe was once... See, I need proof of this now. I'm now very skeptical. I need proof that the mammoth existing benefits the whole region. Like, what new species of animals exist today that didn't exist when the mammoth was there? That's what I want to know. Because how do we know they won't have an effect on current species who now live? It was home to millions of large herbivores. It was home. And these animals were key to protecting the ecosystem. These animals were key to protecting an ecosystem so vast, it affected, if not almost controlled, the climate. Yeah, so this is really the theory. The theory is we want... Okay, so we want to change the climate, but in what way are we going to change the climate? Like, for the better? How do we know? What if we change the climate and it kills some animals that we need right now? And also, it says millions of large herbivores. So, which other herbivores are impacting the climate? It's not just this one per se. I feel like bringing back the mammoth is going to do what you're talking about. I also feel like it might do some good, but it's like the fact of like, it's just we don't know. That's the only problem. It's like, at best, things become better. At worst, we all die, you know? And if you don't touch it, we stay like we are. Interesting thing, they asked Russia to drop mammoths in their country. Yeah, good question. So, where are we putting these animals and which countries are wanting this? Because you're going to have the government needing to sign off on something like this, surely? Is I wonder what legal permissions one needs to do these things. Okay, so this is migrating patterns. Okay, I need more references now. It has been estimated the total mass of plants and animals in Siberia's tundra. Okay, let's look up Siberia's tundra real quick. Let's see where this is at. Siberia's tundra. The Siberian tundra is a vast, cold, and largely treeless biome characterized by permafrost, low precipitation, and hardy vegetation like mosses, lichens, and shrubs. It is home to unique wildlife such as wild reindeer and migratory birds, and indigenous cultures. The ecosystem is facing severe threats from climate change, which is causing permafrost to melt, leading to potential flooding, gas crater formation, and the advancement of forests into the tundra. Okay. So we have a climate change problem, and that's why we are attempting to fix it with mammoths. Also, this is water, guys. Geese. So it's in Russia. So is Putin going to sign off on this plan? Does Putin want to bring mammoths to Russia? Because this is the technicality, right? It's like, do they actually have Russia wanting this? It looks beautiful, even though I assume the climate isn't really great, but it looks beautiful. Wow, that's crazy. Okay, here's tundra. Almost no trees due to short growing season and permafrost. It looks dreamy. It looks beautiful. I don't know. It looks really pretty. The tundra is the coldest of the biomes. It also receives low amounts of precipitation, making it similar to a desert. Okay, Tundra winters are long, dark, and cold. It's so cold that there's a layer of permanently frozen ground below the surface called permafrost. Permafrost is a defining characteristic of tundra. In the summer, the top layers of soil thaws, only a few inches down, providing growing surface for the roots of vegetation. Okay. It's usually a wet place because of low temperatures. Much of the Arctic has rain and fog in the summers. Okay. So we understand the tundra. Skiing trip? Pretty much. You shouldn't use wiki. Oh, I'm just using wiki to quickly look at the tundra, not the research. I just want to see what it looks like. Hey, Artsagart. Yeah, we're reading about Siberia. We just realized that in order for them to actually put mammoths in Siberia, they kind of need Putin's permission, right? That's like, they would need to work with the government to get this done. I would like to know what's under the permanent frost, you know, if it was like a mudslide or something. True, what's frozen down there? Okay. It has been estimated the total mass of plants and animals in Siberia's tundra is now 100-fold less than when it was a steppe. Okay, so a mammoth step. And other key arguments here. Show me the key arguments. Bringing woolly mammoths back from extinction might not be such a bad idea. Ethicists explain. We're going to look at that in a second. This is the lowest tier research, by the way, is an article that a person writes. This is, so, okay, this in academia is like, we completely ignore this and we're not even allowed to reference it. So the worst thing you can do is this. And by the way, AI does this, which is why people should be very weary of AI. I'll teach you what it means in just a second. Okay, so people who haven't studied in academia don't know the very strict rules, but here it goes. You're a Facebook mom and you wake up to the woolly mammoth being brought back. And it's written by Colossal. And Colossal says, it's true, just look at this. And you click on it. And it goes to an article written by some random person. You don't even know if they have credentials. And the article references Colossal as its proof, bringing you back to Colossal, which references the article as its proof, which references Colossal as its proof, which means nothing. Do you know what I'm saying? So what we actually want now is for this article to reference proof. And hopefully they bring it to us. Let's go. Okay. Bringing woolly mammoths back from extinction might not be such a bad idea. An ethicist explains. Okay, so that means nothing to me. What is an ethicist? US startup Colossal has announced plans to bring woolly mammoths or animals like them back. Colossal has received 15 million US in funds to support research conducted by Harvard geneticist George Church, among others. The proposed project is exciting with laudable ambitions, but whether it is a practical strategy remains unclear. Okay, so far so good. Colossal proposes to use CRISPR gene editing technology to modify Asian elephant embryos to their genomes to resemble those of the woolly mammoth. Okay, so far factual, so far no arguments. These embryos could then theoretically develop into elephant-mammoth hybrids. Mammophants? Is that what we're calling it? Mammophants? That's funny. With the appearance and behavior of extinct mammoths. According to Colossal, the ultimate aim is to release herds of these mammophants, it's like elephants, but mammophants, into the Arctic, where they will fill the ecological niche mammoth once occupied. When mammoths disappeared from the Arctic some 4,000 years ago, shrubs overtook what was previously grassland. Mammoth-like creatures could help restore this. Okay. When mammoths disappeared from the Arctic. Okay, now they're referencing something. What are they referencing? Okay, cool. I can't even access it without getting hacked. That's never a great thing. Amazing. Okay, we'll take it at face value that 4,000 years ago mammoths went extinct. Shrubs overtook what was previously grassland. Mammoth-like creatures could help restore the ecosystem by trampling shrubs, knocking over trees, and fertilizing grasses with their poop. Okay. We say this all theoretically. Ah, yes. Theoretically, this could help reduce climate change. You know what my biggest ick is? Is that they say the mammoths went extinct not because of climate change, but because of humans. But also if we bring them back, we can stop climate change. Like, you can't have your cake and eat it too. Which one was it? Did climate change cause the mammoths to die? Or did we kill them? And how does bringing them back stop climate change? Okay. theoretically, this could help reduce climate change. If the current Siberian permafrost melts, it will release potent greenhouse gases. Compared to tundra, grassland might reflect more light and keep the ground cooler, which Colossal hopes will prevent the permafrost from melting. While the prospect of reviving extinct species has long been discussed by groups, advances in genome editing have now brought such dreams closer to reality, but just because we have the tools, does this mean we should? That tautology may be true in most cases, but some proprietary info kept under wraps by companies that perform research yet publish may reference the company's internal research. It's just when the paper solely references gate-kept information. Think Google DeepMind publishing research on machine learning. True. How would one go about a peer review if they're not credible? For someone found something that works at Burger King. Good question. Normally you have to work through academia. It's very hard. They make it almost impossible for anybody who isn't part of academia to publish a paper. That's your answer. This just reminded me about an extinct snake from my side of the Amazon that is now Colombia, and a species called Titanobua. An absolutely terrifying creature. Climate change made that species disappear because they couldn't adapt to the new temperature. Yeah, see, my thing is if they couldn't adapt, bringing them back might just one-shot them again. Like, theoretically, if we're wrong and climate change is the reason mammoths died, bringing them back into the same climate will just kill them again, right? Like, am I wrong? So technically we're bringing them back into an environment that does not serve them. Hey Silex, how are you doing? We're looking into bringing back the woolly mammoth. Colossal is a really interesting company. They look really pretty cool. They have started bringing back the direwolf. If you heard about that, that's the company. And they are talking about bringing back the woolly mammoth in 2028. And it's super interesting. So we're doing a fun little deep dive and seeing what evidence we can find that this would be a good thing or a bad thing. I found an Orion correlation in the reds Orion using Google Earth. I believe it to be man-made, just saying. Huh. Maybe you should contact Graham Hancock. He likes stuff like that. Yeah, the direwolf thing. They just won't adapt in today's climate as it is already. Probably would be like 2030. Don't know. Okay, so let's see. Okay, because again, we're talking about evidence, right? We're talking about how evidence works. The entire reasoning for bringing back the mammoth is now referencing this article as well as this article. So we already went through these articles, and these articles are all theoretical at best. We don't know why mammoths died. Evidence suggests climate change did. Now we're looking at an argument. Okay, de-extinction is a controversial field. Critics have referred to such practices as playing God and accused scientists in favor of de-extinction of hubris. Okay, let's see where that takes us. Oh, fun. Okay, we get more arguments. Are we playing God? The wisdom is bringing back what is gone. Okay. So the HuffPost is talking about Bible verses here and playing God. Okay, interesting. I think that's a bad argument, to be honest. Let's see the hubris one. That sounds funny.
Finally, the last E is ethics, which Ross will pick up on. And here we're talking about things like restorative justice, animal welfare.
Oh, don't bring extinct creatures back to life. Oh darn, it's a debate. Oh, spicy. See, I told you there's drama in the academia. There's drama.
Fair. But we have to also think, what are we doing? What is restorative justice? Are we making ourselves feel better because our ancestors 10,000 years ago may have been involved in the extinction of this creature, or maybe 100 years ago? Do we have the right to create individual suffering in order to assuage our guilt or maybe take this blood libel of our ancestors off of our hands?
Lynn
And I would
Rothschild,
argue that's not right.
I'm sorry, your time is up.
Okay, I would just like to say that I wish my opponents the best of luck, and I hope that if they convince me, that I will encourage you to vote for them, and conversely, if we convince them, they encourage you to vote for us.
Thank you, Lynn.
Okay, wait, what are we debating about here? That first sounded like politics, not like science. Let's see what it says. What if woolly mammoths could walk the planet once again? De-extinction or the process of creating an organism. But it could become a reality. If advancements get us there, should we do it? 4 is Dr. Ross McPhee, Curator, Department of Mammalogy, Division of Vertebrate Zoology, American Museum of Natural History. Dr. Lynn Rothschild, evolutionary biologist and astrobiologist. Against is Stuart Brand, co-founder, Revive and Restore and founder, Whole Earth Catalog. And Dr. George Church, professor of genetics, Harvard at MIT and founder, Personal Genome Project. Interesting. I am kind of really interesting to see what their like arguments here are, because they seem like really angry. So we've got introductions, we've got round 1, we've got ethics, extinction, guiding principles on creation, bringing beavers back to Sweden, the condor. Okay. Falcon, precision hybridization, the Asian elephant. That is actually the topic of discussion right now. Because it's the Asian elephant they want to use to create the woolly mammoth. They want to adapt its genetics. Northern white rhino, what should the laws on the ownership of genes be? I agree, what should the laws be? How can you be sure that bringing back extinct creatures would not then open the door bringing back extinct Neanderthals? Wait, what? They're saying we could, by accident, bring back our own ancestors? Dude, this is starting to become like a horror movie. Oh, this is so interesting. We have to watch this. Okay, I just want to see the Asian elephant parts.
Species like the Asian elephant, which is endangered. It's endangered both because it is living in land that is in conflict with humans, and there's a serious herpes virus to which it is.
Wait, what? Herpes? I believe it's possible that the ethics fall short. ETA. I would say like another hour or two, Rashid. I would say another hour or two. 10 o'clock my time. Okay, wait, I need to, wait, we went to herpes for a second there. Are we bringing back like ancient herpes?
Guilty for our ancestors having killed these things off. I think.
Okay, we're feeling guilty? Okay, dude, I love this. Okay, I'm gonna actually watch this guy's arguments because I'm really interested in hearing what he has to say. And we are providing commentary, so it's not copyright. We shall provide commentary on the subject. If you want to watch the whole video, I shall let you know where to find it as well. Support them. This is on a channel called Open to Debate, and it's Don't Bring Extinct Creatures Back to Life. There you go. You can go and watch the whole one. We're going to give it a like, and we're now going to see what they have to say.
So the phrase "don't bring back extinct creatures to life," back to life, isn't about technical feasibility, and it gets mixed up a little bit, like saying that we can only get to 1% is about whether we could, not whether we should. So I'm going to make some assumptions that we could. I could happy to talk about the details that we're having this happen. Is there no circumstances under which we should bring back any extinct creature? Should we at least see if there is some value, and is there some
We shall fast forward it a little bit. Playback speed.
cost-effective route to that? Should we do some experiments? It's not about all sorts of things we wouldn't want to happen. It's what the small number of things we would want to happen. So what are the top concerns? We've heard a number of them already. The environment is no longer adequate. That is, there are 17 million square kilometers of Arctic, and it is still quite cold. The cost will...
Oh, snap. Dude, these are so fun to watch. This is like hardcore, okay? This is like academia debates. This goes deep. This will keep them up at night for months. Okay, so they said the environment isn't adequate, and he said there's still Arctic and it's still quite cold. And that was like an oh snap moment. And people are laughing.
Take away from other conservation projects. We have made a business, my lab has, of bringing down costs, and we've seen these costs come down as much as 10 million-fold for reading and writing DNA. Doesn't guarantee that it will happen, but the interesting aspect is that if we can endow these creatures with new capabilities derived from ancient, we might make the conservation practices on living species more suitable. So at this point, I think there's this component of purity. It has to be a pure species, but we know that many species are hybrids. And
oh, Emily, thank you for the sub. I appreciate it. Hi, Emily. 3 months in advance. It's crazy. Thank you. I hope you're doing well. I think you're like on a flight right now, or you just landed. We are looking at debates. Take my money. No, please. Please don't. Please. I humbly give back. I'm gonna sub even longer to your channel now. So, ha. We are looking at debates against bringing back species. And this is an interesting part because he's about to talk about elephant herpes. Just wait for it.
And to some extent, when I had a problem that Lynn had, which is I wasn't that fond of bringing back extinct species. I want to make new species. I want to make species that are more adapted to the modern world. But if we can use ancient DNA to do that, should we? That's the question. The de-extinct animals could be lonely. They could be
They could be lonely. That's it. They just convinced me we shouldn't bring them back. They could be lonely. Hey, Julia. Hi. That's okay. Go on. You can lurk. Who is checking that? I don't know. We're going to see.
behavioral issues. The answer is bring back a herd. And diversity is certainly an issue. If we can bring back one, why can't we bring back hundreds? In fact, the diversity could be even higher than it's ever been because
This bro is so funny. He's like, you know what? Not only should we bring them back, we should bring back hundreds of them at the same time. That's an interesting theory. They're saying there could be behavioral issues if you bring back something alone. But then again, imagine humans went extinct and aliens had us in some other planet and they brought back a few humans as babies. Would we not just grow up to be feral humans? I mean, without a mother who can parent us and teach us, like just because you have several baby humans, you're just gonna all grow up feral, aren't you? Like Lord of the Fly vibes. Right? Like, just because you bring back a whole bunch of elephants as babies, I mean, you're going hardcore here for nature versus nurture. You're basically saying that their DNA should suffice. I mean, we could probably argue if they're not socially adapted very well that maybe animals don't require all of that, but still, it's kind of hardcore stipulating we should just bring back hundreds of them at the same time.
We can draw from many different eras, which we're not, as long as we loosen ourselves up a little bit about to this idea of hybrids. There's a lot of hybridization occurs in mammals. I can say this, I have to admit, I'm a hybrid. I am partially Neanderthal. So let's get loose about that and embrace this diversity. I think
let's
it's a really
get
excellent
loosey
point.
and goosey.
That,
Come on, scientists. Don't be scared. We should bring back
Is this just
species.
something that we're doing as a stunt, or we're feeling guilty for our ancestors having killed these things off? I think that's almost irrelevant. The question is, do these species have something to offer us? Do we have something to offer modern species like the Asian elephant, which is endangered? It's endangered both because it is living in land that is in conflict with humans, and there's a serious herpes virus to which it is succumbing. Maybe 25% of the offspring are getting this herpes virus. Can we?
Excuse me? The elephants are dying because of a herpes? 25% of them have herpes? That's it? And our solution is to bring back dinosaurs instead of just stopping the spread of herpes in the elephants? Is that actually what we're saying here? Is that really the argument? Elephant herpes?
It's endangered both because it is living in land that is in conflict with humans, and there's a serious herpes virus to which it is succumbing. Maybe 25% of the offspring are getting.
Yeah, he said herpes. They are dying from herpes. Dude, if herpes is responsible for 25% of elephant deaths, we should probably cure herpes at this point. That's really hardcore. It's like it's like we shall redesign the elephant. We shall take the elephant. Look what we will do. We will make its ears smaller. We will make its fur longer to survive the cold. We will make its tusks even. We will make the tusks different. And we will not cure the herpes virus responsible for killing all the elephants though. Bro, what if the mammoths get herpes? I just thought about it. Is it gonna kill? What if it just was herpes even alive in the time of the woolly mammoth? Do they have any defense systems for herpes? I know I am over exaggerating, but I'm also actually really serious. They have not adapted to herpes, and currently elephants are dying from herpes, I just heard, and killing a quarter of elephants. And you're gonna bring back mammoths to solve for this. But what if mammoths get herpes too? Should we not be focusing on stopping the spread of the herpes? My wife got elephant herpes during her night out. That's very concerning. Please tell her to stop doing that. We can't have something break out right now. The world isn't ready after COVID. For mammoths, you could dress an elephant up in a suit and hope that a mammoth learns from it, then slowly pass it on. Okay. Both theories were wrong. It's not the overkill theory. It's not the climate theory. It is in fact herpes that wiped out the mammoths. Okay, I have to quickly look this up actually. Elephant herpes. Elephant herpesvirus. They are highly fatal when transmitted to young Asian elephants. What causes elephant herpes? A family of viruses have been identified as the cause of the fatal disease. What animal did herpes come from? AI overview, I warn you. Herpes come from chimpanzees and other ancient primates. Oh my goodness, it goes so much deeper. Humans gave mammoths herpes. That is what happened. Herpes came from chimpanzees and other ancient primates, and humans likely acquired it through cross-species transmission. Herpes simplex virus type 1 likely infected the human family tree before the split from chimpanzees. Well, herpes virus type 2 was transferred from ancient chimpanzees to human ancestors like Homo erectus around 1.6 million years ago. Humans had herpes while they lived among the mammoth elephants. Herpes kills elephants. I think we just made a groundbreaking discovery. We should publish this paper. I should contact the authorities. We should bring back elephants that are immune to herpes. Oh my gosh, how did elephants get it though? I'm too scared to ask. The transfer likely occurred through contact with infected individuals, possibly from early human ancestors scavenging on chimpanzees, sure, and coming into contact with fluids or sores. The first case of a fatal form of the disease was documented in 1990 through tissue samples from as early as the 1980s, which tested positive for the virus. And localized skin lesions in wild African elements were recorded in the 1970s. Dude, it keeps going back. It's going back. It's not stopping. 9 have been successfully cured. They're mostly born in captivity. The elephants that are mostly affected by herpes are born in human captivity. A number of cases caused by the same type have been identified in both orphan and wild calves in Asian elephant populations. Okay, wild calves. Okay, because right now this is looking really sus for humans, because why do elephants only around humans have herpes? Okay. 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 This form of the virus was originally believed to occur naturally in African elephants and to be transmitted to Asian elephants within captivity. But more extensive studies have since disproved this, because several other species have been identified in African elephants, type of the herpes virus. Okay. Herpes, herpes, herpes. So many herpes. Similar to saliva for most human and animal herpes viruses, the trunk may be a source of transmission. Along with avoiding new contact between young captive-born Asian elephants and wild-born elephants, as the latter may be carrier of the disease. The wild ones. Okay. An Asian carrier population. Okay. Artificial insemination is not believed to be a transmission. Okay. We've got history. The virus has been identified in African elephants as far back as the 1970s. The first suspected case in Asia was in 1997, though it was not until the fifth suspected case that the presence of the virus could be confirmed. This case was reported in 2006. Okay. Further research has been noted as urgently required to study the situation. Okay, so questions. Did we only recently discover how to detect herpes? And how long have we actually been testing herpes on animals? When did humans first discover herpes? Okay. The virus has been known since ancient times. The first description of herpes was from ancient Greeks who named it herpes. Okay, more specific. Actually, that's interesting. Modern scientific understanding developed much later. That's what I mean with breakthrough in 1893, when transmission between humans were recognized, and in 1919, with its infectious nature confirmed. Ah, Hippocrates, the Hippocratic Oath. He's the first guy who talked about herpes. Cool. The more you know. Most of the detailed knowledge about the virus. Okay, so only in the 20th century did we even figure out more about herpes. Interesting. So, my next question is, when did we start testing elephants for herpes? Because that means it might have been in elephants for many years and we just started testing it recently. When did we first start testing elephants for herpes? In 1995. There you go. When the virus was first identified by researchers at a zoo. Did elephants have herpes 1,000 years ago? Oh my gosh. Current research indicates that the elephant herpes virus likely existed in elephant populations for tens of millions of years. Oh my goodness. How did they get it? Final one. How did ancient elephants first get herpes? Ancient elephants got herpes through a process of coevolution, as the virus is natural and ancient inhabitant of their lineage. This elephant-specific herpes virus likely evolved alongside the ancestors of elephants. It is not a recent infection, similar to how human herpes exists. It is believed to have branched off from other herpes viruses around 100 million years ago. One more question. Did primates infect ancient elephants with herpes? It is likely that the two groups co-evolved with their own ancient distinct herpes virus. elephant-specific herpes viruses are thought to have diverged from other herpes viruses over 100 million years ago, long before primates and elephants came into significant contact, while primates have their own ancient herpes viruses. Dang, this is crazy. This is some crazy stuff. I didn't know herpes was that ancient. Herpes is like one of the biggest things we should be solving. I mean, it's like hardcore. It takes out entire species. It's been here for millions of years. Isn't that crazy how viruses are just as much a part of our history? Like, it is a completely separate species that co-evolves with us. It's a parasite, and it needs us. That's so interesting. Is it not easy to cure herpes? No, herpes is incurable. No, 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 no. I was deathly afraid of herpes when I was growing up, and cold sores, because the majority of the population have it. I don't. I'm not shaming people who do. A lot of people are born with it because of contact with family members, and if you kiss a baby, you can easily give it. But a cold sore is a form of herpes, and we can take a medication to suppress an outbreak, but it basically goes into your spine. It remains dormant, and it flares up in times of stress or weakened immunity. So once you have herpes, you've got it. There's no curing herpes. A vaccine and a cure would be a multi-billion-dollar industry. But no, it's not curable. As you can see, elephants have their own unique family of herpesviruses, which only affects elephants. This genus of virus is thought to have split from other mammalian herpes viruses over 100 million years ago, when the ancestors of modern elephants diverged from other placental mammals. Okay, fair enough. Herpes viruses are ancient and have a deep history, developing into specific types over millions of years. That's crazy. So it's coevolution, not cross-infection. Okay. Fair enough. Let's go back to this guy talking about herpes.
Herpes virus. Can we create a new homeland for them, which is occupied by some of their hybridizing friends, the mammoths, and get them away from humans to this vast territory, which they could help in all the ways that Ross mentioned. They could help us with our problem, where we don't want 1,400 gigatons of carbon to be released in the form of methane and carbon dioxide. And if they could be part of the solution of keeping that cold and causing grasses to be better at carbon sequestration, there's a positive argument there. I don't think this is cosmetic surgery. I do believe that, what is it that we're really worried about? Are we arguing against rewilding? I don't think so. Are we arguing against introducing a few genes? Changing a few base pairs, because mammoths and Asian elephants are extraordinarily closely related. Not only is there plenty of evidence for hybridization, but they're more closely related to each other than they are to the African elephant, which has hybridized with Asian elephant. Are we worried about the microbiome or the viruses? We've shown that we can eliminate the endogenous viruses from a species, the first such, the pig. We've done that. We now have living pigs, showing we can do quite a bit of engineering on a species, and it's going through multiple generations. So we're doing some of the things that Ross asked us to do.
He said we can now eliminate endogenous viruses. That's scary as frick. Endogenous means it's having an internal cause or origin, meaning it comes from the organism. Meaning, he says we can cure it, and we've done it in pigs, but he also just admitted that we can, in fact, have a species bring a virus into this world. That, to me, is absolutely mortifying. Because that can one-shot humanity. That's my point. How do we know for sure that won't happen?
The microbiome is going to be a combination of the microbiome of a living fauna that are being brought back into this land, by the Zimals, for example, in Pleistocene Park in Siberia, and the microbiome of the closely related Asian elephants. The behavior is something that can that I think that if we put minds to, we can handle as well. These are technologies. So the question is not whether we can, it's whether we should. So please vote that we should bring them back.
Thank you, George Church. That resolution again is don't bring extinct creatures back to life, and that concludes round one of this Intelligence Squared US debate. Now we move on to round two. Round two is the round where the debaters address one another directly, and they also take questions from.
Okay. I mean, I really want to hear a lot of these, actually. Let's see the audience questions.
All right, I'd like to go to audience questions now.
Hi, yes, thank you very much. I'm a big fan of your work, George Church and Stuart, so thank you. I'm from Africa, I'm from South Africa.
Same.
And I'm very involved with wildlife conservation. And the fact that we're losing rhinos at a hugely exponential rate. We've lost the last northern rhino in Kenya, and we're looking at potentially the wipeout of rhino in our lifetimes. So de-extinction to me is probably the only thing that we can do to rectify what we're currently doing. And so my question to the panel is, do we not actually have an ethical obligation to fix up what we are currently destroying in the environment?
Using the methods of de-extinction.
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
All right. I know that, George, you've actually made that argument. I've read that you've made that argument, that it's immoral not to do these things in the light of something that the questioner is asking about. I will come back to you, but I would like to let your opponents respond to that question first, either Ross or Lynn.
I'd like to ask the person who asked the question, since she's from South Africa. You know there are game farms there, and you know that lions in particular are raised for hunting purposes, so that wealthy North Americans can come in and shoot them in a barrel. That's not de-extinction. Once again, we have a living species. But it's the same thing when you think about it. It's using nature for our own ends, because the means are the ends, as usual. So when you tell me that we should bring rhinos back, I think northern rhino subspecies back, I think that's a great idea. But then what happens? Who's going to take care of them? Who's going to ensure, for as long as it takes, indefinitely, that nobody is going to go in there and destroy them once more? None of these safeguards are recognized at the time that they need to be, which is what this debate should be all about, that the safeguards need to be in place, discussed, ironclad, before we undertake any of these de-extinction experiments.
Stuart Brown, to respond to the same question.
The northern white rhino is a wonderful example, sort of in our direction. Ryan and I met some of the last northern white rhinos at the San Diego Zoo before they died. And there's a biotech workaround, which is now in progress, to basically use cryopreserved tissue from the last of the northern white rhinos, and they have a variety of them, so there's genetic diversity there, to basically plant embryos from them in southern white rhinos, which there are quite a lot of, and to restore the northern white rhino population. And there is desire in Kenya to get them back there. The last one died a while ago. There's a whole support group there for making that happen. So this is an actual case of right now happening with an African megafauna, biotech being applied to bring back an extinct species.
Lynn?
Yeah, I'd like to say that working at NASA, I often hear people say, well, if we screw up the Earth, we can always go to Mars, it's plan B. And this to me is the same sort of argument. Well, if we kill off the rest of them, we can always de-extinct them. What you should be doing is conserving the last of the ones that are there. And if you can't do that, de-extinction is not plan B.
Yes, George Church.
We got some claps there. We got some claps. Interesting. See, I don't really care if we bring species back. I think humans are gonna do incredible things, and we're gonna see a lot of it in our lifetime. I'm just saying we should keep ourselves, like, screw the ethics for a second. Objectively speaking, we need to survive. As selfish as that sounds, humans need to survive. So, if the white rhino goes extinct and we are alive and we know it happened because we hunted it and killed it for its horn and sold it as a medical cure, that's, to me, is vastly different. If we are quickly, like, we have, like they said, they already have live parts of it preserved, so they don't even have to go through all the effort. They can actually just quite literally start cloning it, like he just said, which is what they're trying to do. Like, if you then kind of start bringing them back, to me that's so fine, because we know exactly what they look like in our ecosystem. But if you want to bring something back from really, really long ago, you have to have ironclad proof that it isn't just a fun little project and that it is direly necessary for our survival, and you can't even be a benefit of a doubt whether it will have an impact on our ecosystem in a bad way. Because you cannot just have a fun little experiment that could potentially mess up our entire world. Like, first we have to make sure that we are not going to harm humanity, and we can't just do that for fun. How was our day? It was great, Julia. Thank you. Having a really fun day. How was yours? Anyone who disagrees? Wait, can you clone a human? I'm pretty sure. Well, yeah, a person can clone a human. I'm tired of people saying they can't. Yes, we know how to clone things. It's just unethical. So if you clone something, you just take a female egg and you take out the nucleus of the egg and you replace it with a different cell that you want cloned. That's literally it. And you put it in a female and it will multiply. So instead of having a sperm cell that introduces new DNA, you have just one singular organism cell multiplying continuously. We did that with Dolly the sheep. It's completely possible to do. The only reason we don't clone creatures from Jurassic Park is because we don't have any females alive in that species who can give birth to it or provide a egg where you can scoop up the nucleus and then replace it with the cells. So the real issue is figuring out how to do that one day is what I'm thinking. But yeah, cloning is very possible. I mean, giving birth is already cloning yourself, but just by 50%. And your partner is the other 50%. And literally all they do is they just don't introduce a partner. They introduce the own animal's DNA back into itself. Cloning is also just unethical because you don't know, you're bringing a human into the world who is going to have no idea what its purpose is, and also clones don't live as long as the original. And there's all sorts of things that could go wrong. So you're basically experimenting with humans, and therefore it's not legal to do. But whether it has been done, you cannot convince me it hasn't been done, just secretly. It's just so easy to do. It's so easy. I'm sorry. It's not even like they already did it with a sheep. You think they stopped with a sheep? They didn't stop with a sheep. It's just totally not legal at all. Nobody would be okay if the government did that, and people would be afraid. Anyone who disagrees with her point on de-extinction of rhinos also by extension on principle disagrees with the practice of IVF, which is kinda insane. With her point on the de-extinction of rhinos. We have so much to learn from this practice. The upsides are uncountable. I mean, the rhinos, yeah, I completely disagree there. I mean, we should 100% try to preserve animals, and if we accidentally screw it up, I think trying to bring them back is totally fine. I think she went overboard with her argument just to make a point. Your day just started. It's 4 a.m. Ah, okay. Well, I hope you had a good night. Oh, the prior lady who asked the panel. Gotcha. Yes, it's just illegal until you hit a certain tax bracket. We'll see. I think we're going to have a lot more tech people take over the space in the future and just do whatever they want, to be honest.
The moral hazard argument has been made a lot. If we truly get to the point where we can de-extinct at at will, then we would let species come and go as we feel like it. That's a thing that we as humans would probably end up doing. Can you take on that thought and also address use the opportunity to address the question that the audience member raised?
I agree that we should not be using this as Plan B, but the technology that we're developing for de-extincting genes and species is exactly the technology we need for conserving the living species. And that's why I'm excited about it. Not nostalgia, not so that we can shoot at them, but so that we
Yeah, but I don't think anybody's arguing about developing technology. We're arguing about actually implementing the technology and bringing back species from millions of years ago. Like, we're skipping a few steps. Like, I don't think anybody's opposed to developing technology. But developing technology doesn't justify bringing back species from millions of years ago. Like, he's kind of jumping ahead here.
Can help living species, especially those living species that are important for our survival. That's the selfish part.
Stuart.
35 years ago, when the frozen zoo started up at San Diego Zoo, the moral hazard argument was brought that you should not do this. It's going to make people feel relaxed if you're just being able to cryopreserve viable DNA and viable
So
cells.
I'm unfamiliar with what was happening at the San Diego Zoo.
The frozen zoo was where they were going to do cryopreservation of tissue samples from living species that were endangered, with the idea of keeping those at hand, just in case, and also for study. And careers were broken because of people complaining there was a moral hazard here. It was going to make people relaxed about extinction, and therefore don't do it. One, no such thing happened. Extinction worries continue, and they will continue, and they should continue. Two, a whole domain of really important scientific research opened up because you can study the intact genome of the species. At Revive and Restore, the reason we're able to go in and think about and act on bringing back basically extinct alleles, and frankly, we're going to clone back into life the twin of one of the black-footed ferrets that died 35 years ago. When we bring it back to life in the next few months, it will add genetic diversity to the inbred population for Collins, Colorado, of the captive bred animals that are there. Instead of having 7 founders, they will move up to 8 and maybe 9. So already about a benefit happening there.
Ross, the last point on this one, and I'd like to move on to another question.
This is not the subject of the debate.
Exactly. It's not the subject of the
It
debate.
isn't. This is about bringing back, read the motion. It's about bringing back extinct species.
There we
Both of
go.
you have talked about woolly mammoths and
There
to
we
a lesser
go.
degree passenger pigeons.
I think, and this is how debates work. So it's like, there's a good chance both of these individuals actually are totally fine with all modern technology and what they're doing. But the specific question is, should we bring back long ago extinct species? That's the question, not whether we should develop technology. And I bet they are. They probably both agree with the points that everybody just made, but it's completely going around the topic at hand.
What you're talking about is something that all 4 of us fundamentally agree about, that the value of synthetic biology for conservation is doing exactly what you're talking about, but that is not bringing back completely extinct species.
Well, but it is with the northern white rhino. They're gone. They're dead.
Can I just add one
Wait,
other
what
point?
did he just say? This is so intriguing. I'm loving technology. Is so cool. The fact that I get access to this debate, even though I wasn't there in person, sometimes I forget how surreal our world is. Like, what a privilege. This was filmed in 2019, and I get to watch these experts talk about really cool things, and they won't be around forever, and I get to access this information. It's just so cool to me. Like, I have the privilege to just watch this on my screen right now. That's awesome.
That is not bringing back completely extinct species.
Well, but it is with the northern white rhino. They're gone. They're dead.
Okay, so he quickly rebutted by saying, well, it is bringing back the white rhino. They're gone, they're dead. True. Okay, so, but the thing is, now this is just becoming a debate. They just want to win the debate. It isn't really anymore about, like, a moral issue. It's like, look how he's smiling. That's it's funny. It's true, the white rhino is extinct. I mean, okay. Fair enough. The biggest concern for me with okay, wait, let's go up. Earth has had catastrophic events. These events melted local minerals. Over millions of years, erosion breaks that glass. Biological life adds organic soil, sediment layers bury everything. These were proved by 2 scientists and explained thoroughly. There are places we can see where the oxidation starts and ends. Yes. But why are you saying that, Julia? Like, what is the argument regarding the catastrophic events? The biggest concern for me with human cloning is the same companies that would be exceptional at it are also the same ones who could leverage it to perform internal human trials of experimental pharmaceutical therapies or product testing. Do it in some warehouse and the world will never know. There's enough dollar. Okay, so that's what Carhill, I totally agree with you. My point is, we wouldn't even know if it's happening. It's crazy. The biggest breakthroughs we've had in science have been during horrible times of war, where they did the most brutal studies ever done were done on people against their will, or children, or animals. A lot of it was done in the Hitler era. They had a lot of twin studies. You had the Japan units where they had prisoners of war, and they did so much experiments. And some of the biggest breakthroughs we've ever had came from that, which is a very weird feeling, because it's like, it's a really catch-22, like, for the greater good, but also totally not okay. It is such a weird feeling. Yeah, it's a weird one. Unit 731, yep. Yep. How the world is going, we should bring back God. I think we all need a purpose. The pomegranate, hi. I don't think any of this is mutually exclusive to religion, by the way. Just a fun a little point in there. I think having a belief system doesn't interfere with science. It merely adds a moral code to it. But I think society will implement moral codes even without a religious basis when it comes to humanity as a whole, I'd say. Because yeah, right now the big question is, does this impact humans? Will it screw us over? That dinosaurs, yes, half of them died out of the explosion, but the rest of them died being buried alive. Oh yeah, that's pretty brutal. Okay, let's go back.
Can I just add one other point? You're talking about
Yes.
adding an eighth creature there, which is certainly better in terms of its population dynamics than 7. But when you're talking about something like a dog, you're not even a viable population until you have a diversity of at least 100 individuals. And so imagine how much more difficult it would be. And I think you said earlier, well, we could engineer in that diversity. I'm sure that people like George have enough trouble coming up with one mammoth without having to have 100 different genetically diverse mammoths that then could interbreed.
No,
George, what is your mammoth capacity?
I just personally dissected 6 the last time I was in Siberia. There are hundreds that are unfortunately being exposed at a rapid rate now because of the rapid melting of the permafrost. So unfortunately, and the Russian government's quite excited about having people come in and characterize them. So
The Russian government is very excited about people coming in. Oh? Is the Russian government actually part of this and they want it? Because you have to have politics in this, right? You can't just bring back species into a country without the consent of the government. So they're saying the permafrost is melting in Russia. It is causing problems. It is exposing mammoth carcasses. And Russia is apparently happy with people coming in to investigate.
I don't think there'll be a loss.
But think of the challenge of 100 different ones at the same time that can then start interbreeding.
I don't think that's challenging enough to say that it can't be done.
Let's go to another question, please.
Hi guys. First of all, thank you all for being here. This has been a really fascinating, awesome debate. My name is Warren. I just wanted to bring up the question.
No, Rashid, it's not. Whee! What, you want to start playing Roblox? The debate is about bringing them only or releasing them. No, I think the debate is about bringing them back into ecosystems, like bringing them back into the world. Human testing was banned in Germany before the States. Human experimenting was common, unregulated, and not considered a crime in many countries until the mid-20th century. Great. You got 30 minutes? Dang. I don't remember, but it was something called Nuremberg or something. Oh. The Nuremberg trials?
Question of intellectual property, which I think might inform this debate, or at least lead it in a new direction, as John pointed out. I want to know everyone's thoughts on how existing rules surrounding the ownership of genes and genomes might influence whether or not we should undertake this endeavor. I'll leave it at that.
So I want to see if we can phrase this within the framework of the debate. Could
Yeah.
I say whether, would you mind rephrasing your question to say, do the existing rules argue for or against the de-extinction argument? Is that fair enough? Is that what you're saying? Because otherwise I want to pass on it because I really want.
That's okay. I mean, I guess this is a debate about what we should do. Fundamentally, the word should keeps coming back here. So let me rephrase into something I'm more interested in personally, and you can pass if you want. What should the existing laws on the ownership of, or what should the laws on the ownership of genes and genomes be in the context of de-extincted species?
I think that's relevant, and I'd like to bring either Lynn or Ross to that.
Hey,
My
Vicky.
understanding, and certainly, others can, like George can correct me, but that the Supreme Court case ruling with BRCA is that if it's a natural genome, there's no ownership. Only if there's been some human intervention, for example, it's a result of cDNA or something. So I don't think that there is an ownership issue, but
An ownership
George,
issue that acts on a
with-
curb of being able to do this, which is where.
no, ownership issue owning extinct genomes. That was the question, I think.
Yeah, I think actually we're kind of getting off the should question, so I'm going to pass on that, but thanks very much. Can I take another question from right here in the corner?
Hi, Kathy Soroff. The issue of should and could. With every invention and discovery, there's a good use and a bad use. And whether or not we legislate, oh, you can or cannot do it, somewhere, someone is going to do it, whether you
that's
should
true.
or not.
That's
and
true.
it's up to each of our societies to decide
So what
what
would
is
be-
good and bad. So I wanted to find out, isn't there an individual situation with each species that we might consider, and considering it in terms of whether or not it's beneficial for human beings, and it matters, and if it's cost effective?
Okay, can I rephrase your question to the side arguing for the resolution, which means they're against de-extinction, to say, I think what you're saying is, shouldn't this be taken on a case-by-case basis,
Yes.
rather than a blanket, don't do it?
Yes.
Let me take that to Lynn or Ross.
Well, I take your point, but it occurs to me that, if you've got nuclear bombs and you've got nuclear power plants, one is by design a weapon, the other isn't, although bad things can happen. What I don't get from this kind of argument that it's good and bad is that it's always framed in terms of what's good and bad for people and people's interests. So the inquiry over here about whose property is it, this is us, this is all we think of. If we invent it, then it's ours. It doesn't exist apart from us. And if it's not ours personally, then it's the state's or something like that. So these animals being brought back that we're talking about, I don't know whether George would patent them, maybe he would, but somebody, somewhere, is certainly going to do precisely that. And by virtue of becoming property, they can be sold, bought, auctioned, and what have you. Is that what we want? Is that really the way to bring back ecosystems? To have business interests, capitalism unleashed, in order to recover them in the way that's being talked about? I don't think so. I think that's a misappropriation of the idea for, in this case, facilitated adaptation. You want to bring species back to the degree that you can by intervening very carefully in their lives with some sort of genetic repair mechanism. And then you leave them alone.
Let's let Stuart respond.
Well, that was the great issue with Jurassic Park, which was a commercial operation, and the reason it became crazy is they were trying to protect their intellectual property, and then it got stolen, and various bad things happened. There's exactly nothing going on with de-extinction or genetic rescue that I know has any commercial aspects at all. It's one of the reasons it's hard to raise money for it, because nobody's going to get any payback. It's pure philanthropy. Conservation has that quality. Nobody gets rich in conservation. So there's not any private issues involved here.
You don't think there's a future in having saber-tooth?
Yeah, pure philanthropy? That's a stretch. That's a stretch. Yeah, that to me that's not true. He's right. The amount of people who have money who would pay millions of dollars for a dinosaur in their backyard, like, are you kidding me? The amount of politicians in the world who would give good money for, like, to bring a species back, it could become an entire tourist attraction. People would travel to different parts of the world just to come see a zoo that's made up of an extinct species. Saying it's not for money at all is silly. I still don't think that's an argument against it, but saying that doesn't exist isn't true. Alex, I think the science must help people. If science becomes non-humanity, if science makes humans brutal evil, if humans under science effectively lose their humanity, then we don't need it because it takes from us more than it gives and can destroy our deep person humanity, destroy what we are. Yeah, I mean, for sure. I think that's a good conversation to have about AI as well. A dinosaur in my backyard would be so cool. Yeah, I'm sorry. People will pay good money to have cute little pets that are only available because a company is manufacturing them. Like good money. You want the Tasmanian tiger? Dang. I think Colossal is trying to bring that back too. Wait, let's see. Index. Uh, yeah, you're in luck. They are in fact trying to bring back the Tasmanian tiger. Interesting. Human caused extinction. Hmm. There you go. But yeah, this was around quite recently. I would say this is like pretty okay talking about bringing it back. University of Melbourne. Yeah, yeah, they're getting pretty deeply into it. The genome, closest living relative. Gene editing, transfer nucleus to egg. See, this is the process of cloning too, but it's also the process of editing genetics. Surrogacy, maturation and birth. Dang. Rewilding the continent of Australia. Yeah, this is a plan. They're actually pretty much doing it, it seems. This website is kind of dope. I'm just gonna say it. This is a really cool website. Oh, is this gonna be the surrogate? The fat-tailed dunnart? No, surely not. It's too teeny. Oh, they are gonna use it as a surrogate. Thylacines give birth to babies that are not much bigger than a grain of rice. So growing the embryo in a test tube or through a surrogate is much less challenging. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. They're not paying the surrogate enough money. Dude. Wait, is this Chris Hemsworth? Wait, so they're gonna they're gonna put this massive creature into this teeny tiny mommy and make it give birth to it. They better treat her really well. We have some hella cool megafauna that went extinct on the continent. Does math interest me? I think math is just our coding system for understanding how the universe works. I mean, you have to find it interesting. It's basically the foundation of every single STEM field. No matter where you go, it always finds you. Whether you're studying psychology or whether you're studying neuroscience or whether you're studying quantum mechanics, it all comes back to mathematics. But maths just explains it. It's not it's like the coding process for our understanding of things. Well, that's pretty cool. Okay, so they're bringing back this bad boy. Does math interest me? I mean, I don't read math for fun in my spare time. I'll look at it if it is relevant to something I'm doing. But like I said, it's just the basics of the bigger task at hand. It's like asking me whether letters interest me. It's like, no, words interest me. I get that letters are important, but it's like I'm not looking at math equations in my spare time. Yeah, I agree with loss of sanity.
Looky-likeys that you can use for hunting purposes?
If you want to do it, go for it. Nobody I know is lining up to do that sort of thing. What they are doing is what they're doing in conservation generally, which is begging for money to make a good thing happen for the commonweal of species and the commonweal of humans. And it is totally transparent. It's the opposite of what was the problem in Jurassic Park. There's no secret IP involved here. Even CRISPR, they're fighting over the patents. Everybody's using CRISPR while
There's no secret IP. I have to repeat that. If there was a secret IP, we wouldn't know about it because it's a secret. I'm just saying. You can't ever really say there's no secret anything, because if it's a secret, you wouldn't know it exists to begin with. But it's true that he is saying that CRISPR is being used by everybody as the technology, which appears to be true. I'm streaming on Twitch and on YouTube, Max, so I can see all your comments. Do you think you'd come to Campeche, Mexico? So I already went to Mexico. I went to a bunch of places there. So I don't currently have any plans on coming, but I don't see why I wouldn't go back. Mexico is very nice. Very cool. I enjoyed it a lot. Great food as well.
they fight over the patents. So it's a non-problem, I think.
I have to say, Stuart, that I'm very pleased that I am not the most naive person on the panel tonight.
All right. We tried not to make it personal. I think
Did you guys see that? I told you this is deep. These people write entire research papers just so they can put in a tiny point they want to say in one sentence. Where is it? I'm telling you, this is entire careers. Leakey ignores both his own advice and also the present distribution of East African mammals. Martin wrote this knowing Leakey was going to see it. And this man will forever think about this moment where he said something to this man about not knowing how bad it can get. That's crazy. Oh, let's see it again.
It's the problem in Jurassic Park. There's no secret IP involved here. Even CRISPR, they're fighting over the patents. Everybody's using CRISPR while they fight over the patents. So it's a non-problem, I think.
I have to say, Stuart, that I'm very pleased that I am not the most naive person on the panel tonight.
All right. We tried not to make it personal. I think I'm trying to think of not.
Oh, he's gonna come back with something. There's no way he's gonna take that. There's no way. These two guys are at each other's throats now. Skibbity toilet, you're going to bed. Good night, Turek. Have good dreams. I hope your videos are looking good. Brutal. Yeah, I bet they're not gonna stop. No, for the rest of this debate, I bet they're gonna be thinking about comebacks.
Naive. That's not that cutting, but but it was there. So let's try to keep it above board. I want to get farther in the back. Young man.
So my question for the side negating the resolution is that, do you think that the issues of sort of ecological instability or instability in ecosystems for both the species being brought back to life and the organisms already living in those ecosystems should be taken into account?
Yes. I think that, Ross brought this up at the very beginning, that there could be consequences for the ecosystem. In fact, with the elephant mammoths, that's the whole point, is to have consequences on the ecosystem. Now, whether we can calculate in advance, probably not. But can we, by trial and error, get there? That's a can question, not a
trial and error. No, what do you mean trial and error? What does error mean when you bring back a species and you don't know how it's going to affect the ecosystem? What does error mean? Like, what's the screw up here that's going to cause something really bad to happen? What do you mean trial and error? I don't think you can have trial and error when you introduce a species into the ecosystem. That's crazy. Like, what do you mean trial and error? That's crazy to me. Bye, Julia. Good luck with the studying.
Actually, I think it was Lynn who brought that up in your opening.
Oh, was it? Yeah.
Yeah, Lynn, why don't you jump in on this conversation then?
No, and I get back to the point that it's going to create a lot of individual suffering on the way. And is that right for our ultimate goal? Is that goal worth enough to be forcing these creatures to suffer the way they're going to in all the trials and so on?
Okay.
Hi, my name is Jeff. I have a question, basically.
My name is Jeff.
I think it builds on the question she was asking, which was that given that new precedents in science basically set or open the door for future work in that field, how can you be sure that bringing back extinct creatures would not then open the door to bringing back extinct Neanderthals, and that given that people would have patents over those?
That is the exact thing I was thinking about. Again, this is water. My throat's dry. Sorry. 1 bottle of water. 2 bottle of water. This is what healthy partying looks like. Popping a 1871 bottle of fresh Mountain Valley spring water, not sponsored. Hydrate. Guys, if you haven't drank water today, you should do it right now. Not sponsored, yes. Okay, I really like this question. If we can bring back animals, why can we not bring back humans? For fun. Clearly, we don't care about whether the animal is okay. We care about its impact. But they're like, okay, we can totes bring back Neanderthals. And let's see, for those of you who don't know what a Neanderthal is necessarily, we are Homo sapiens. We are the human species that became the dominant one. But before us, there were others. And some think that the uncanny valley effect actually originated because of this, where we were having to procreate. If you saw this thing looking at you, it would give you an uncanny effect. Look at the eyes, the black, the sclera, the white. It gives you like the creeps almost. Some people theorize that developed so we didn't procreate with Neanderthals, because it's believed that we, Homo sapiens, lived when Neanderthals also lived, and we were the dominant species who ended up becoming humans today. But a lot of people still have Neanderthal genetics, a little bit of it in them. So there's a lot of evidence that we did actually, that Homo sapiens and Neanderthals did sometimes procreate. But Neanderthals essentially became extinct, and Homo sapiens are what remains today. So the question is, they are asking, can we bring back ancient humans, and should we? I think that is batshit crazy. I think that is dystopian horror beyond our comprehension. Because that would purely be to look at them in a zoo. Can you imagine being brought back in 1,000,000 years from now by some evolved species who don't even look like you anymore? You can't even communicate. And you have no humans left who look like you. And you grow up in a lab zoo where other people can just look at you for fun. Like, is that not... I think it's... I don't know if it's right, because animals are one thing, but like Neanderthals are intelligent enough to suffer. They have very intrinsic social dynamics, just like we do. So you're basically saying you want to bring back... You want to clone humans, is actually what you're saying. They might look different, but you're basically cloning humans in a lab at this point. Just not as smart. Haven't drunk today, you take that back, and that was a Freudian slip. human evolution timeline. Here we go. Yeah, here we go. So we're the Homo sapiens, you have Neanderthals, Homo erectus, Homo habilis, and then Australopithecus africanus. Oh no, that's Afarensis, but you also, I think before that is Africanus. So that's sort of how we evolved as far as our understanding go. Australopithecus africanus, Homo habilis, Homo erectus, and Homo neanderthal and Homo sapien kind of came here and kind of went in the same direction over there. But why we would bring them back, I don't know. I don't believe it would serve us unless we're trying to alter our own genetics for the better, and at that point we're just straight up altering human babies, which is a completely different conversation, and people are already very skeptical about it, even when you're eliminating disease. Okay, let's see what they say.
Creatures, that would not then open the door for all kinds of strange things to happen.
So you're talking about the slippery slope potential that,
Slippery
that
slope.
after going for the mammal animals, they would start going for the mammal hominids, I guess.
Who knows?
I guess it's a who knows question. It's a little hard to answer because it's who knows, but I actually want to put it to the panel the side of the panel being challenged.
Well, I would say that there's a pretty steep gradient between humans and other animals, whether we think there should be or not. Chimpanzees get a lot of rights. It's very hard to do experiments on them at this point. I think Neanderthals are humans. They're modern. They're just like modern humans. You know, like I said, my ancestors got along, and I think they would be respected as such. You can patent human cells. You can engineer human cells, but that doesn't mean you own the human being.
I would make the point this is not a slippery slope. This is a very high friction.
I'm sorry, I had to look at a message. I want to hear that again because he basically just said it doesn't matter.
Be respected as such. You can patent human cells. You can engineer human cells, but that doesn't mean you own the human.
Okay, but we're not talking about making human cells here. You're missing the point. We're talking about cloning a human. We're talking about bringing it to life. We're not talking about making a liver cell to help somebody with organ failure.
I think Neanderthals are humans. They're modern. They're just like modern humans. You know, like I said, my.
Wait a second. I don't like this answer at all, actually.
Or not. Chimpanzees get a lot of.
Yes.
Who knows?
I guess it's a who knows question. It's a little hard to answer because it's who knows, but I actually want to put it to the panel the side of the panel being challenged.
Well, I would say that there's a pretty steep gradient between humans and other animals, whether we think there should be or not. Chimpanzees get a lot of rights. It's very hard to do experiments on them at this point. I think Neanderthals are humans. They're modern. They're just like modern humans. You know, like I said, my ancestors got along, and I think they would be respected as such. You can patent human cells. You can engineer human cells, but that doesn't mean you own the human being.
I would make the point this is not a slippery slope. This is a very high friction, shallow slope with.
The island? Why does the island sound so familiar? Tia Beastie Sanctuary. Okay, so what he actually said is we actually don't have the legal rights to do anything to Neanderthals, is what he's saying. It appears he's saying you're actually not allowed to mess around with humans.
Arguments and.
That's a nice coinage. I've never heard the non-friction shallow slope, but I think that's a very useful term.
And there's argument every step of the way, as there should be. Science is argument. That's what it's made of. It's organized skepticism. And so the thing that we're waiting for, and both of you are right about this is all conjecture at this point. We're just talking fantasy. Until there's actual beginnings of the process that we're trying to set in motion, we don't have data to argue with. All we have is sort of dueling conjectures. And that's fine for now. And I don't think it's going to stop the people who are trying to do the experiments. They'll actually prove, they'll get us some data and start to get these things in the field, building on what we already know from conservation biology with various kinds of reintroductions and so on. That part is pretty predictive. Even though ecosystems are not totally predictive, there's a lot of experience to draw on how to bring species in. And that's what we're going to be working with, and we can argue every step of the way, I think.
I'm sorry, I'd like to get back to Neanderthals because I thought this would come up, so I made a point of looking at the exhibit at the museum yesterday and staring these exhibits in the eye. And I believe people have talked about de-extincting Neanderthals and possibly some people on the other side of the stage. And I just want to say that I believe equivocally that is absolutely wrong. It is morally repugnant. We have enough trouble with humanity recognizing that we have roughly equal intellects across the races. And to purposely recreate a species that we know is going to be inferior in some ways is just asking for enormous trouble. And so I'd just like to be on the record and saying that I find that whole idea morally off the table.
So back in the day when Homo sapiens was interbreeding with Neanderthals, you would have discouraged that.
I
She did
can't
not
help what my
say that.
ancestors did.
I'd like to respond to this too,
Sure,
because
go
these are ethical questions.
Wait, what?
Neanderthals, you would have discouraged that.
I
She did
can't
not
help what my
say that.
ancestors did.
I'd like to respond to this too,
Sure,
because
go
these are ethical questions, right? And the thing about ethical philosophy is that it's always framed the good and the bad as it affects humans. There isn't really an ethical philosophy for animals, although there should be. And the trouble with that is that we inevitably end up with an anthropogenic perspective or an anthropocentric perspective. So we can say on the one hand, as Lynn just did, that it's absolutely repugnant to consider the idea of bringing back Neanderthals. But it is perhaps not so repugnant to think about bringing back woolly mammoths. Well, why should that be? One has personhood and the other doesn't.
You want captions? I can try.
As a matter of law. But for ethics, for thinking about what is proper for the planet, I put it to you that we shouldn't be thinking like there's a divide between them and us, that we're somehow different from everything else. We're not. And the same kinds of ethical questions that arise in thinking about bringing back human ancestors that are no longer with us should apply in the same way to bringing back completely extinct species.
On to another question there. Yes.
Hi, my name is Eileen. So the conflation of gene therapy versus returning a fully extinct.
Okay, so they just stopped that discussion. That was the best one, though. Huh. So she said Neanderthals are inferior, and she said we are basically already racist and treating certain groups differently because of perceived inferiorities. She is saying if we brought back a species which we know for a fact is inferior because it is extinct and lost against Homo sapiens, what will be the end result of that in a world where we're still not equal? Then the guy on the right replied and said, basically, you're cool with eugenics then, because are you saying we should not have slept with Neanderthals back when they still existed because they're inferior? And she said something that I couldn't even make out and didn't reply. What an interesting discussion. Hey, young business. I don't think Neanderthals being inferior is the reason we shouldn't bring them back. I think bringing back a semi-intelligent species for shits and giggles is bad. I think they will suffer in our world. I think it's, like, why would we bring them back? I mean, you're basically, again, cloning a human at that point. Like, they are smart enough where you will have a Neanderthal child in captivity. Like, what will that life even look like? Are you gonna provide it with, like a lab to grow up in? Or are you gonna release it in the wild? Or does it live in a normal house, but it is borderline statistically the scientific terminology is retarded, by the way. I'm not meaning it in a bad way. Like, are you gonna have like a humanoid creature that is like sub 40 IQ, and you're like gonna try and make it live in our world? Like, what is even the point of doing that? Like, because you're not doing it for them. You're definitely doing it for our amusement at that point. I would have the same arguments about just cloning a human child. It's like, okay, are you at least going to provide it with a household? Like, does it have parents? Like, is it going to suffer, or are you just going to keep it in a lab? Like, what life are you going to provide this sentient being? You know what I'm saying? They want to study the DNA of Neanderthals. Yeah, but again, that's basically just like human experimentation at that point. Like, Neanderthals aren't different enough to not be classified as almost human like we are. And even if they were different enough, they would just become chimpanzee level. And like he just said, you can't even really experiment on chimps anymore because they're intelligent enough to actually like really suffer. And they have family structures and stuff. So yeah, I don't think bringing back humans for fun should be okay. Because we can also go about this in any way. We can look at any recently like extinct human race if we want to. Like, I'm sure there are plenty of tribes, islands, places where people are very few and far and in between of what's left. We can like start cloning them. But even then I would say, wait, what are you trying to do here? Like, this is like, we're really stepping on the border of what's okay and what's not. Yeah, they would be circus attractions, 100%. The Neanderthal genome, if they can clone them, they have the DNA already? It's more of an immune system in action thing. I'm pretty sure we have a bunch of. Okay, no, I cannot answer that. I'm not in this field. I don't know if we found frozen Neanderthals and if we have Neanderthal tissue. I don't know. But yeah, you could definitely clone a Neanderthal if you had Neanderthal DNA that was good enough, because like they said, Neanderthals and Homo sapiens actually slept with each other. So some people have Neanderthal DNA left in them, meaning if you had a female surrogate human, you could definitely clone a Neanderthal by giving birth to it if you did the normal cloning process. This is therapeutic for you? Let's go. I'm glad. I'm glad I can provide some therapeutic vibes. Bring back tribes of modern human is good idea for population decline. Like Aquaman in Southeast Asia. Yeah, but I would say at that point, if you have population decline, the solution isn't to clone humans. The solution is to get people to populate it. Like, clearly the environment has caused the decline to such an extent that it's hostile. Like, people cannot afford to live, you know? So it's like people are perfectly capable of making babies. It's just that they don't. Repopulating the earth is more something we should do if we have like a mass extinction event and it's like, well, we're screwed. We have nothing left to do but start cloning back the humans. Oh, you're an ex-scientist. Okay, what makes you an ex-scientist? Are you retired? Diversity of race. Gotcha, gotcha. From what I understand, there's some scientists who think there are still Neanderthals among us, which is what scientists want to bring back. Ah, Neanderthals. Oh, you mean some humans you think are fully Neanderthal? Couldn't they just test them? I want to hear more.
Animal aside, you know, if we're talking about bringing back woolly mammoths versus kicking up Asian elephants with a small percentage of mammoth DNA,
A
would
normal
both
blood
sides of the
test, yeah.
argument acknowledge the fact that if you bring back a
Wouldn't we
Pleistocene
have
creature
found
to
them
the
by now?
Anthropocene, despite the fact that they have the same DNA, by default, make it a different creature than it was. So I'm basically talking about how we compare modern-day hunter-gatherer societies to our hunter-gathering Neanderthal ancestors.
Can I answer?
I'm sure, yes.
I actually often answer sort of a variation of it when I'm talking about astrobiology, that if you took DNA to another planet and then you brought something back to life, is that still the same? And my answer is that we have this idea that there has to be an evolutionary continuity, but we've broken that using molecular biology. So my students, Georgia's students, and so on sit behind computers, they come up with DNA sequences, they push send, it goes to a company, and those zeros and ones become actual DNA that's sent back. We no longer need to have that physical continuity, so I believe that they still would be the same species. I don't know the vast majority of people in this room, and I don't know if you were made in the basement this morning or they were worried that no one would come out in the cold, and so they make you in the back room. You sure all look like humans to me.
George?
Yeah, I'd agree.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Cameron. Thanks for doing this debate. A question a friend and I were thinking of was, is there an ethical difference between natural selection and humans deciding what happens? So if this happens naturally, is there really a difference between humans taking the reins and like what you
I like
guys
that
thought about
question.
that?
If it can happen.
No, there's a lot of difficult questions about this. This is very clear. The thing about natural selection is the word natural. The idea that all species, including ours, is the product of eons of selection by natural forces that shaped us. We wouldn't be around unless we were successful in that. Nature doesn't like weak throw-offs. You would have gone extinct is the problem. So when it becomes artificial selection, which is what humans do in particular with other species, it's a different situation, isn't it? It's no longer just allowing nature to take its course, so to speak. It's our intervening in who breeds with whom, who gets selected for whatever desirable set of traits, who survives and who doesn't. And I see that as a dramatic difference. So to bring it back to the point of the debate here, we're not talking, when we are talking, in fact, about bringing back extinct species, we're not talking any longer about natural selection. That's out of the picture. We're talking about something we as humans can do, perhaps should do under circumstances, but in any case, we just want to do. And that's the difference.
Stuart, I can give you 20 seconds to wrap this round.
Those extinct alleles were arrived at by natural selection. There's on the order of 4 billion years of evolution behind their equality. And that they got eliminated is a loss to, in a sense, the global gene pool. And getting those genes back in play seems like a perfectly natural thing to do.
And that concludes round 2 of this Intelligence Squared US debate, where our resolution is, don't bring extinct creatures back to life.
Interesting. Natural selection is kind of, it's time tier. But Mom, I'm still watching the video. Natural selection is, in my opinion, not really a thing that's happening as hardcore as one would think anymore. Like, one could argue that natural selection isn't even taking place today anymore. You know? Because natural selection basically means that we select for better mates and weak humans die. We don't do that anymore. Bad genetics, as you would say with natural selection, don't die out anymore unless they don't get a mate. I would say our only form of natural selection right now is who makes babies. But in the past, I mean, you would just die. But we take care of everybody. We have evolved to such a degree that we take care of every single person. People in society who commit crimes, I mean, like, we don't off them or lynch them. Like, they survive and they can continue to procreate. So natural selection, I feel, isn't really as in play anymore as one would think. That makes sense. I feel like we're basically already living in an artificial world at this point. Like, natural selection, in my opinion, is right now it's just like a little bit of a mating strategy regarding resources and such, but it's like, I don't know. I don't know if it's really as in effect as one would say. I think us bringing a creature back doesn't randomly end natural selection. I feel like we're far past that already. He said we're the exception. I should have managed my time there. No, I said 10 o'clock my time, which is in 50 minutes. Did you watch Pluribus? I am watching Pluribus. It's exceptionally good. You should all watch Pluribus. We human wear prosthetics, social media, contact lenses, AI, dyeing hair. It's all to be aesthetic for natural selection. It's to find a mate, yes, which brings me back to it's all about resources, because right now you use money to alter your looks, essentially. If you don't have money, you can't wear hair extensions, you can't do makeup, uh you can't necessarily afford healthcare, you can't stay healthy. We still have mating, yes, but in order for that to be true, people who are not aesthetically appealing would not be able to mate, and if they did mate, their offspring would die off, and that isn't something that's happening. Everybody is mating. Everybody. Yeah, pretty people might mate more with pretty people, but people who don't subjectively look pretty are still mating, and nobody's dying off because we have programs in place to make sure that everybody's taken care of. So you could argue natural selection isn't happening. Everybody gets taken care of. So there aren't more conventionally pretty people in the world, if that's what natural selection is supposed to mean. Right now, everybody mates. There isn't natural selection, in my opinion. There just isn't. Yeah. Natural selection means some like undesirable genetics need to die off. But yeah, just because you can bump up your place in the societal hierarchy to mate with a more attractive person and you make a baby doesn't mean that somebody on the other side of the spectrum doesn't also do that and make a baby. So natural selection didn't occur at all. Like, everybody still made the babies. And you're like, yeah, well, that baby looks pretty and has more resources, but the other baby is very much alive and is going to procreate too and also has resources. So natural selection, in my opinion, just doesn't, like, unless there's like a big thing coming and that you need to be prepared for, like there's big war coming or there's big resource scarcity coming where people are going to die in millions, blah blah blah. Currently, I don't see any natural selection happening. Not by its definition, if you know what I'm saying. Unless you becoming nuns or priests, you kill your way for natural selection. We don't, though. Nobody gets killed for natural selection unless you're living in the wild. There's no killing for natural selection. Killing is illegal. We have an artificial society and we have rules. We protect the weakest among us. Schools go at the rate of the slowest learner. There is no natural selection happening unless you are literally in a war-torn country where you physically have to survive. But in the first world, nah. If you think highly educated, smart people are making more babies, you should watch the movie Idiocracy, because that ain't happening. In fact, far less babies are being made by people who have better education, statistically. Peacocking, costly signaling play a role for natural selection. Yeah, but you're not disputing my point. Natural selection means that only some people reproduce. All you are saying is that some people get more desirable mates, but all the other people in the hierarchy that we have also get mates on their level. Boop, 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 boop. Everybody from 10 to 1 end up mating, 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 mating. There isn't, it's not just tens that get babies. That's not how our world works anymore. There's no natural selection. Everybody gets babies. Everybody. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying there isn't natural selection, in my opinion, anymore. What do you think about the dudes look smacking? Yeah, well, everybody wants to get a highly desirable mate. It's still like that is still a core part of natural selection that is within our DNA, is my opinion. Like everything we do is still about mate selection. You want your partner to be pretty, you want them to be desirable. What does pretty even mean? It probably means they have genetics that are stronger in some sort of way. Like maybe they're tall, maybe they're strong, maybe they're fertile. It's still very much, our entire society is based on finding a mate. It's just there isn't punishment anymore for not finding the most desirable mate. You're still gonna find a mate and make babies. Yeah. You get what I'm saying. We live in an abundant era where everybody's protected. Natural selection only happens when the genetics that we deem undesirable exit through sheer elimination, meaning they don't mate or they get killed. And none of that happens anymore in society. So I don't really think natural selection is really happening anymore. I just don't think so. Like, again, we would have to have a really, really horrific event happen where suddenly mass death happens, or mass resource scarcity, and truly the strongest survivor, those with the most resources or whatever. But that's the only way actual natural selection would occur, and is if people actually end up exiting the gene pool, which is horrific. And like I said, we've evolved to the point where we take care of everybody. But yeah, I don't think natural selection as it is occurs. Um, it's more artificial. Hmm. If we brought back other humanoid creatures, would we increase the risk of unknown virus or illness that would be easily passed on to us? I think we would. I think we would increase the chance. Wouldn't we factually increase the chance just by pure statistics? Like if you bring back a new creature, chances are you bring back the chance of more viruses. Very informative. Ah, nice to see you. Thank you, Stacy. Interesting convos. Interesting convos, guys. Great convos. I think this was really interesting. I think this was a great stream. I had a lot of fun. Let's see what the comments say. Oh, here it is. I don't understand the argument about natural versus artificial selection. Just messaging me. Okay. It's not as if humans were created by nature, so our effect on evolution of other species is also perfectly natural. If nature comes up with a predator species whose act on ecosystem is extinction, we shouldn't call that artificial. Yeah, here it is. If you brought back the mammoth, would you not have to bring back the saber-toothed tiger to keep overpopulation at bay? Also, that I've heard them say that no one's ever has attempted to do this before. Isn't there such a thing as the beefalo, that they genetically altered a buffalo? Hmm. How incredibly authoritarian the affirmative side revealed itself to be near the end. Don't forget arrogant, pessimistic, and anti-humanist. Hmm. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, we're still going to be looking into dinosaurs in the future. I still have a lot I want to look up on. See the last few messages, then I'm going to take a quick bathroom break. I'm going to end the stream and then I'm going to restart the stream. And we're going to go onto our gaming channel and we're going to play games instead. So we're going to go to Tia Beastie on YouTube and we're going to stream some Roblox over there. So we're going to go into no brain mode and do random stuff. Gets the creative juices flowing. I'm glad to hear that, Mark. Glad to hear that. We can kill them. They don't need predators. Like we control fauna. Fair. I just feel like if we need to kill them, then aren't we already at a point where it feels like it's not very natural, right? Like, how's it gonna fix our ecosystem if we have to, like, carefully kill them? I don't know. I guess you could make an argument for it. Okay. Well, great stream, guys. Thanks for joining me while I go into my dive of cloning and dinos. Um, that was a fun talk. I hope you guys have a great night. I'm gonna send you over to somebody else if you are on Twitch, and I will be back. I'll be back in like 20 minutes. So, yes, have fun, and I'll see you again very soon. Yeah, hopefully this has you thinking like I'm thinking right now. We still haven't gotten to the gist of the mammoth arguments, but we shall return, mark my words.